die. I one of my brothers does that bit all the time. All the time. My favorite is one of us will find something funny and we go, nays up, so loud. Just so loud. I don't know why he didn't say that, Ace. Let me reload it. Let me reload it. Anyway. It was the 10-minute podcast. It was like my favorite podcast. It was the best one. I don't care about literally any other podcast over that one. The rest of them fucking suck in comparison, but I think that's just because I like comedy and I don't care about other genres enough. I don't know. It was Crystalia and it was Will and Brian Callen and Will Sasso. It was really good. It was really good. Yeah, I miss it all the time, dude. That shit was the best. I feel like too many podcasts are trying to be like really topical with only being serious and not being funny anymore. They're obviously comedians still have podcasts where they are funny. That is still a thing. But I feel like it's only a couple. It's only a couple. Most of the podcasts are not about entertaining you with comedy. They're actually just like about discussion pieces only. And they straight up just don't crack jokes. And I'm like, what do you, why would I listen to this? You know? Now, some of them could still be good if they're topical, depending on what they're about. But brother, we got 1,000 podcasts out there about, the same topics, and it's all just someone's thought piece and there's nothing funny. It's one thing if it's like 80% your thoughts and 20% funny, I'm fine with that too, you know? But yeah, so many podcasts are not like about being funny anymore. It's weird. What happened to them? I think they're still there. I think it's just that everyone has a microphone, you know, so everyone has a podcast, which is fine. I think more of them existing is not really a problem. We used to be real country. I know, dude. Like, even when I'm talking about serious shit, I'll just throw in something. You know, to remind people that we're having a good time. Right? I don't know. Even then, there are times where I'm talking about a serious topic for long enough and I'm like, oh, I gotta throw on my bone. You know, like I'm aware of the time that's passed. I don't know, dog. Dry humor, still humor. Oh, I know. There are several times I'll say something and in my head I'm like, that was a joke. Who gets it? And I look at the chat and no one's laughing because they think I'm serious. And then I have to like restate my joke in a more obvious way a little later. And I'm like, oh, they didn't detect that. Oops. Or like two of you do Keck W and other people are like, huh? Or they give like a real paragraph answer back. And I'm like, that wasn't a real sentence. But then I'm entertained, so it's okay. I'm entertained by people not getting it, which is maybe not funny to everyone else at times if they don't get the joke, but like, I'm having a good time, so I don't care. You know what I mean? Most of your humor is too dark to publicly say anything of. I have to turn it down a lot, yeah. Because the problem is, I think there's nothing wrong with dark humor if you're making it obvious that it's a joke. The problem is I'll have like really, really like bad humor, like dark, morbid, whatever. You know, ooh, don't say that kind of thing. But then on top of that, my delivery is dry because I like dry humor. So when you put those two together, people think I'm very seriously saying something awful. You know what I mean? Like I think you can joke about almost anything, not literally anything, but almost anything. So long as it's clear that it's a joke and the joke is funnier than the impact of, you know, the shock value, whatever you're saying, right? Because then when it's obvious it's a joke, like, you can tell that's the purpose. It's fine. But if you're like me and you have very dry humor delivery on a lot of stuff and you just let those jokes out, when you do that in front of, like, the internet, oh, it can be bad. I've made some jokes in the past that I'm like, thank God those VODs don't still exist, because I think if I look back and say it's a joke, it's hilarious, but there will be people who will see those clips out of context and not know that I'm joking, especially if they don't know me. And they'd be like, what the fuck? They're not even things that, like, you'd think I'm a like, problematic person necessarily from it. You'd just be like, why was that said? You know, because the delivery is so deadpan. I don't know. It's a great way for dark humor to being good. The joke has to be funnier than shock for it to land. Yeah. I don't think you should be allowed to be sitting here making dark jokes, morbid jokes, shock value jokes if you can't make them funny enough to land. No offense, but there's streamers out there that are like, oh, I'm so different, and I joke about, like, you know, weird shit with kids and I don't know, politics or whatever the fuck they're joking about. And they'll make some dark jokes, but the thing is, like, it's not funny. And it's not that the subject matter isn't funny and you can't joke about it. It's just like they're not funny when they tell the joke. And every time I see it, I feel bad. And I'm like, no one's telling you that you need to pivot. But you got, like, people in the chat seal clapping, like, haha, you know, they're so different for making that joke or whatever. And I'm like, people aren't really telling them, hey, that shit wasn't funny, but it's not because of what you said. It's because of how you said it, because your delivery was bad, you know? Yeah, literally clapoid. A good ratio of shock humor to normal human humor is important. That's the other thing, too. It's very clear to me, like, when you can't make normal jokes and you only do, like, shock humor or, like, morbid, that you don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't get it. Clapoid's terrifying. That's one of my most favorite emotes because it encompasses everything I'm trying to say, right? Like, there are few emotes with the amount of depth as clapoid, but that one, like, it's got so much depth to it. It is talking about exactly what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? In such a specific way. And you don't need anything other than that damn emote to be like, I get what she's saying here. Right? When someone's like, Lamau, I don't have a really good joke set up, but I'm just going to say 9/11 because I think it's funny. And then chat starts being clapoids. I look at that and I'm like, hey, man, it's getting sad. You know what I mean? And I'm not sitting there going like, oh, you can't joke about 9/11. I'm like, hey, if you're going to joke about that, it has to be funny. If all you have in your chat are clapoids when you tell those jokes, you know, I don't know, man. You got to get real +2s out here. And I'm not saying I think I'm the funniest person in the world, but I at least know when to, like, not tell the joke, you know? You know what I mean? But yeah, clapoid's so good. Look at it. The emotional depth. The way it can be used in vague or ultra-specific situations. It's so good. Considering your family history in 9/11, you tend to avoid joking about it. Oh, yeah, no, I've said it before, and I'm not going to make it, like, my whole personality, so I don't say it very often. I was there. I'll just say that. I was there, and, you know, one of the few things I really don't like is, like, dust clouds. And people be like, why don't you like when it's super dusty? And I'm like, well, you know, like, I'm not going to sit there and explain it, but it's something I really don't like, you know? If you've seen videos, you might understand what that's like. But, you know, it's bad. And yes, I knew many people that passed, not just like one or two. I physically knew many people that passed, stuff like that, or that were very hurt, or that passed away later, maybe not during the event, but later from complications, etc., etc. So, but even that being said, you can still fucking joke about it. Your joke just has to be funny. No, Uggs. But you can joke about it. Like, I got the card, you know what I mean? I got the pass. And I'm sitting here saying you can joke about it, but it has to be funny. It has to be funny, dude. I think the worst jokes with it are reference humor, where they reference it because they think referencing a shocking event is funny, but then there's no joke. You know what I mean? The second blank has hit the blank jokes, but there's no setup. They're just like, oh, there's another one. I'm gonna reference a disaster. I'm just like, come on, man. Yeah, the second memes. I know. I see it and I'm like, all right. Whatever you say, friend. They're not super offensive or anything like that. I wouldn't call it that. I wouldn't hear someone tell that joke and be like, you know, how could you? Or something. You gotta have like a good setup, you know? I don't know. Gotta have something. Like, I make cancer jokes all the time too. I had cancer. I could do that. I'm down an organ. I could do that. You know what I mean? But even then, it's got to be funny. You know? Like, why even go there? Well, I think people that make jokes like that all the time don't... Well, they're just unfunny, you know? If they're not completely unfunny, it means that they don't know how to delve into that style of humor without just doing references because they don't know how to make it funny. It might just be category of humor. It doesn't mean they're overall unfunny. But a lot of people want to have dark humor, you know, because it's like they think it's cool or something. I think everyone overestimates how funny they are. Everybody. Even the funniest people. I think that's very natural. That's very human, you know? Yeah, I got the C card. It's true. Cancer card. Would you say you're the type to deflect with humor? No, I actually get more serious in serious situations. Most of the time. When there's a serious situation, I try to put away the humor to treat the situation seriously. And then once we've addressed it or done whatever we need to do, then I turn the switch back on. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of the opposite. I think deflecting with humor is kind of bad. Yeah, lock in. Because if you get used to deflecting with humor, whenever anything's like serious or anything's bad or whatever, you look like you're making excuses and you're running away, which you are, right? And it's not a good habit because then you might not mean to do it sometimes, but you do it anyway. And when it becomes habitual, I think then it's bad because it's very easy to hurt people or like not address something that you need to address when you do it by default, you know? So don't let it, it's fine to do occasionally, but don't let it be your default. You know what I mean? So being physically disabled, I enjoy a good dark joke about cripples, but the edgy for edgy's sake ones feel personal. You're right. It feels like there's no... If it's not funny and it doesn't feel like they told it to be funny, then you're like, well, why did you tell it then? Being edgy for edgy's sake can often be interpreted as, you just wanted to be fucking mean. Or, you know, like any negative, right? It's like really easy for your mind to go there, especially if you're the person who's the subject, right? This is why, like the controversial R word... I don't say it, you know? I don't think it's as bad as a lot of other slurs that are used, like, in very different ways, right? But even so, it's a word that's, like, hard to use nowadays with enough tact or whatever to make it funny. It typically just is, like reference humor, where you just say a thing, and people are like, why'd you say it, though? You could have just not, right? There are one or two jokes that could still be said when someone's using the word for the sake of, you need to be using that for the joke setup. Maybe it rhymes with something, whatever, where I'll be like, you said that for the sake of humor and not to put anyone down. And I won't shit on somebody for it, right? It's in the same vein as like back in the day, moron and idiot were words to mean the same thing and they became vernacular, but this one isn't allowed to be. So I'm kind of like, it's more about how people interpret a word than what the word means, right? So you just use the word moron instead, or idiot, right? You know? Yeah, I'm okay retiring the word, but I also, when I hear someone saying it, if I could tell it's for the sake of humor, I'm not gonna necessarily demonize them. But when they're saying it just to be shocking, then I'm like, There's a difference in I just meant this instead of idiot versus I said this because I wanted to say it so that you go and pearl clutch. You know what I mean? I've noticed that with like words that are like borderline. They're not like 100% accepted by everybody as like straight up slur kind of thing. A lot of American words are like that, where like other countries people are like, I don't get it. You know, it's interesting. It's a really interesting thing that happens. Oh my God, I didn't realize that image was in front of the the raid notif. Oh, let me move that back. Hi, Minx. We're talking about words. Hold on, let me move it back. Let me move it backwards. I think it goes there. There we go. Okay. I haven't looked at the raid notif on the screen and realized. I was talking about people using bad words. That was the topic, in case you see anything in chat and you're like, why are they saying that? I was talking about comedy and how people, like, you can joke about anything if it's funny. But if you can't make it funny, you just look like you're trying to be mean if you're, like, going the morbid or edgy route, you know? That was the topic, man. I don't know. For me, I find it like, you call people Redditors when you really hate them. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like when enough people use like a word and they're like using it in a way to attack people, I don't want to associate with those folks. Whether I care about the word or not matters less to me than looking like I'm associating with a certain crowd. You know what I mean? And that's like the easiest way to get me to retire a word. Right? Is when there's like an argument over it and there's two groups and there's people that are like, well, it's nice to not say it. And then there's another group that's like, I'm going to say it anyway, and now I'm going to become the champion of this word. And I'm like, holy fuck. If you were chill about it, I would be chill about it too, and I wouldn't bother you. But now that you're being not chill and you're specifically like, I'm going to antagonize with this, now you're just an asshole. The word doesn't matter anymore, right? The argument about the word itself doesn't matter. It's just that person being an asshole, right? So now I'm like, well, now I'm going to retire the word because I don't want to be one of you, you know? Doesn't matter if I think it's actually that bad or not or whatever. I don't even think about that conversation because the real point of it is like, those other people, man, you know? And that's kind of, for me, what happened with the R word, right? Where it became like, I know there are people out there, I know streamers who will still say it, but I know them, and I know the way they're using it is simply knee-jerk reaction, 2007 Xbox Live. It's the same as saying idiot to them, right? And when I know that person and I hear them say it, I'm going to be like, ooh. I'm still going to be like, ooh, maybe don't say it, but I'm not going to be like, you're the devil for, for saying this, because I know they don't mean it like that. But then when I see someone who's like 19, and I know they didn't grow up with it in their regular vernacular in movies or anything, they're 19, they have no excuse. They grew up in a world that was like, don't say this. And then they decided to adopt it and champion it and make it part of their personality and shit. I'm like, hold on. Because this was a lot more of a choice when it was already bad kind of thing. Right? It's very different perspective where I'm like, you don't, no. But I see like a millennial and I'm like, you probably are just knee-jerk saying this because, you know, it wasn't considered bad back then, right? Like, I still think it's good to play a game of taboo. I'm able to just not say it, no problem. You know, I don't think it's hard, but not everyone finds things to be as easy to get things out of their speech. I still think it's not good, and I still think they should try, but again, if they're like a millennial or older, I'm not going to be like, holy fuck, how could you? Because the word was just like in TV shows and movies very regularly, you know, and it's still in the transitional phase. Yeah. Why is the word bad? Because people will, the main argument is that the word is the same as like moron or idiot or calling someone very stupid, but it specifically means too slow. It's a word used in science, and it's used to describe, back in the day, a lot of mental handicaps, right? So the word got used in a more antagonistic way against those people over time. It started off as I'm just calling something stupid, but then it started to like really develop. And then it wasn't really that much of a problem until at some point on the internet, people started using it for the purpose of antagonizing and the purpose of being hateful, right? It started off as you're stupid, and then it turned into like What's the most hurtful thing I can say to you? I think it's this. Right? So it took on a new thing. And then on top of that, with everyone having access to the internet, a lot of kids that didn't even grow up with it started using it anytime they saw someone with a disability. And that's where it flipped. That's where it really flipped. And yeah, about 10 years ago, people, you know, there was just a wave of kids on the internet. It was the like Instagram and TikTok generation showing up and just starting to use it against people in that kind of way. And that's when people were like, I think we should stop saying this because it's being used in a way that's a little different. It was like casual before, and it's not casual anymore. And that's why it's in a gray area, you know, because it's still, some people don't mean it like that when they say it like that, so they think it's okay. You know? I don't think it's that hard to take words out of your vernacular, though, so for me, it's just gone, you know? In the 30s, 40s, 50s, doctors use the word. It's still used in science to talk about a slowing. That's literally what the definition of it is. Well, when we talk about like glacial melt speeds and things, them slowing, you use that word. That's what it is, right? So it's interesting. It is used in music too, yeah. Yeah, fire. Right. Exactly. It's just one of those things that it's a shame, because then when you have to say like the proper use of the word, you prickle up a little bit because you're like, ah, you know, because you're like, it's not the bad version though, you know? You know what I mean? And for me as a streamer, I try to just like, even if I'm like, oh, I'm just talking about the slowing of a glacial ice melt, I still like won't use the word because someone will clip it, right? And then they're gonna be like, oh, it's just one of those. I really think, you know, if you're just using the word to mean stupid and you're older and it was in your vernacular, I can tell like some people really don't mean it like that. And I'm not going to hear from those people and be like, ah, you're weaponizing this word. Because they're just saying idiot in that moment, you know? But then there are other people, I'll hear them say it a certain way, and I'm like, I think you did that on purpose, you know what I mean? You still use it for fire, yeah. There's no, here's what I think. I don't think we need to replace the word entirely in its scientific context at all. Because it's obvious when you're using the word to mean a slowing of a thing versus when you're using it against someone, you know? Same with gay, yeah. I used to call shit gay all the time. Crazy, because I grew up around like drag queens and shit, you know? And even they would say it. And they would always, what I was always taught by adults in my life that were homosexual and other things along the same spectrum, was always like, hey, I can tell when you mean it against me, or you mean it in like, you know, a more affectionate way, or like it's a cute way, or you're trying to put me down with it, you know? They would be like, we can tell. We could tell. And most things are okay to say as long as you're not using it against someone in that way. But if you don't know someone, just don't say it at all, because you don't know how they're going to take it. And that's it. And that's it. That's all you need to hear. And that's all you need to do to live your life, dude. It's not hard. It's not hard. You know, I'm a streamer, so I'm like, well, I'm not going to do this too often on stream or anything, because not everyone who comes to my chat is going to know in what exact way I mean a thing or whatever. So pretty much any word that I think is like, I just kind of like pull it out of my vocabulary, you know? So you didn't know 95, 99 counted Gen Z as well? No, it's like 97 and beyond. Or like, yeah, like 97, 98 and beyond is Gen Z. I wouldn't count 95 necessarily. 96, because that's still the age where you could have had a very millennial style upbringing or a very Gen Z style upbringing, depending on what internet access you had, at what age, and what you were given. But I think 97 and beyond, it's impossible to have had purely that millennial upbringing. You know, like you were old enough, or you were young enough, rather. Common phrase even Gen Z era. Yeah, I know. That's why I said this one's still like gray area. Didn't you say you were the president of the gay club? Yeah, unfortunately, my school called it the gay club, even though we asked them to rename it so many times. They called it the gay club, but I was vice president, not president. I was vice president. And everyone in that club said shit was gay all the time. And they didn't even mean it as in homosexuality. But it was a different time. It was a different time, you know? And then they would also say something was gay when they literally meant it like that. And they'd be like, I love that shirt. It's so gay. Right? And they would be two people that were gay talking about each other's shirts. Right? Like that was that sort of situation happened all the time. You know? It was just, it's all about context, man. You know, you could tell when someone's using a word to hurt somebody, or if they're just like, that's fruity, you know, or whatever. So born in 04, but parents are Gen X and Boomer, so I'm Gen Z with a non-Gen Z mindset. No, you're still Gen Z. I wouldn't, let's not. Everyone's raised by people generations beyond them. I think most Zoomers, their parents are Gen X or older millennial. But then you're going to get into the, you know, I was born in the wrong era kind of thing. You'll as you get older, you're going to be like, nah, I was very solidly my generation. Very much so. Reminds me of when the term bimbo was reclaimed in the 2020s. Yeah, I love paying attention to words and seeing what comes back, because things do circle back around. Gay definitely circled back around because of just all the groundwork people laid out to take the word, you know, back and use it a lot in a more positive context. And now it's just like, that's a contextual word now. Right? So I am different from this chat. I'm still youthful. Fuck the olds. 6'7" type shit. Wow, Texas. Hey, you know, I'm down with everything. Old memes, new memes. I don't give a fuck as long as it's funny, man. 6'7" isn't funny. Type shit's great. he be chill like that. He been chill like that. Also, yeah, Daddy, I agree with you. You're talking about using the gay as a pejorative. Yeah. I just think at the end of the day, like, if someone that I know is like, hey, this word is hurtful to me because XYZ, I could be like, okay, I won't say it. They could literally be like, don't mention the color red in front of me. And I'll be like, all right. Boom, now it's a game of taboo. It's out. I never say it in front of that person. Right? If people on the internet say, hey, generally to a good enough portion of us, you know, this word is, you know, kind of rough, and they give me a valid reason, they don't sound crazy, you know, they just give me like a real ass reason, I'm just gonna be like, okay, it's not hard. Right? Thing is, it's just not tough. I don't think. That being said, again, if I see a streamer using a word and the context is very obviously not to be super harmful to others, I'm not going to sit there and be like, they're a horrible person, because they're not trying to hurt other people. Does that mean I'm always down with a joke? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on context. Again, like, I think if you're going to make an edgy joke, it's got to be funny. If it's really funny, it's clear that the point was comedy and not anything else about what you said, right? If it's not funny, then I'm like, workshop that, buddy. You know, before you say it. Or like, you gotta level up first before you, like, you know. Yeah, there is the funny override. I don't think it works on everything necessarily, but it works on most things. Like I said, you know, people can make cancer jokes to me as much as they want, as long as it's funny. Someone can make a Lamau, you're missing an organ joke to me. If it's funny, I'm going to be like, hey man, haha, that was funny, right? I'm not going to be like, how dare you? Because I can tell they were just trying to be funny, you know? But if they try to make the joke and it's shit, I'm going to be like, that was shit. Fuck you, asshole. You know what I mean? Right? It all depends. It all depends. Your joke didn't land, and I think you're a bad person. Ugh. That's how you do it. Dr. Manhattan them on the spot. Oh, when he blasts them? Dude. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Bzzow. Said you're a black man. If they're funny, you laugh at racist jokes. They have to be funny. Yeah, right. Like you can sense when someone's saying it to be funny versus like they're like, I want to put you down. I want to put all your people down. Like you would tell the difference, right? I watch Rush Hour. Watching that in the good 2025 can be kind of rough. But if I watch the OG Rush Hour, I look at this and I'm like, he wrote these jokes because he wanted to. He thought they'd be funny. Can some of them be a little rough? Yeah. But was he doing it to be funny? Yes, it's very obvious. And some people will be like, oh, you can't watch Rush Hour anymore, some of the stuff they say. And I'm like, but look at who it was written by. And look at who okayed it and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine, dude. We're chilling. I'm not going to clutch my pearls. Because I don't watch that and go like, my God, that actor said that to put people down. You know, I'm like, eh. I don't really think it's, you know, that bad. I think you can admit something ages poorly, but still take it as a product of its time. Rush Hour is the best worst aged. I agree. It aged so, ugh. But the thing is, like, when you watch it, it's so goofy, you can tell this was for the sake of joke, which is different than when something ages poorly and you look back and you're like, oh, they meant that in a bad way, right? There's a very different undertone, context. Blazing Saddles is like that. Yeah, it's one of my most favorite movies. A lot of exploitation films from back in the day were made for the sake of that type of humor, and it wasn't meant to actually put people down. It was, if anything, it was actually like, it depends on who directed it. I'm going to say that. Depends on who directed it. But a lot of the time, it was meant to put certain things forward. You know? And that shit can be funny as fuck. One of my most favorite movies is Black Dynamite. And I love the cartoon that came after it as well. It was so good. But sometimes people watch it and they're like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Same thing with Pootie Tang. My God. A lot of stuff from that era was like, the best. Yeah, the Hebrew Hammer, do you remember that? My God. Sadate. I still call kids tippy ties all the time. My cousins all have a lot of kids. And I'll be like, go get the tippy ties. They don't know that it's a movie from a word from a movie. They think I'm just like, they think I just call them that because it's cute. Yeah, Undercover Brother. Mm-hmm.
It was an amazing day when I met someone who swam in the Special Olympics and he got the nickname Ringer Faction Redeems.
No! That's fucked. Oh, man. Still got the Pootie Tang sticker in the Discord because of the watch party. I made the Discord watch Pootie Tang. Because I could not stand that so many of them did not know what Pootie Tang was, didn't know any of the jokes, didn't know anything. It was really bothering me, genuinely. I was like, what do you mean you don't know Pootie Tang? Black Dynamite. I sell drugs to the community. It was, oh God. So good. Oh, right, I made Zen's Discord watch it. That's right. Zen was doing a movie week, and we did GEEGA week, and I was like, you're gonna watch only films that I make you watch, and one of them was Pootie Tang. Yeah, it was Zen's Discord. No, they did not handle it, but I didn't fucking care. I did not give a shit. I'm gonna click the button now. I didn't give a shit. I wanted them. Oh, what's that? The merch is still available. I was gonna make them watch it and I didn't care. I'm gonna sign you a penny on the run kind. Look. Don't forget, guys. Don't forget. I'm gonna do a reminder every now and then. Do not forget that we have 1 month of this merch collection being up. Buy it sooner rather than later. We got a postcard of this. We got a standee of this with a bunch of more stuff in the background, actually. We've got a hoodie. Let me see if I have the image. Yeah, the front looking like this. Ooh. Ooh. Look at that. Ooh. Okay, the back looking like this. Ooh. Ooh, so wearable outside without people being like, who's that big titty anime woman on your shirt? Instead, you can be like, I'm wearing this. And someone will be like, oh, that's cute. You know? Yeah, I fuck with the hoodie. It's really soft, too. Nice and thick. Nice and thick for the season. I really love how the art came out on the back of this. Thanks to Soyu for doing it. We've got little Pope Boris. Got little Heavenly Booby in there. You got Minnie Mouse running around. It's so cute. So you did a really good job. And then we got what? The prayer candle. Ooh. Any of my Catholics out there know these, especially if you're Latino. Especially. So we need more VTuber merch that isn't just tits out anime girls. Yeah, I think there's a time and place for both. Like both should exist, but I like a little balance. It smells like jasmine, by the way. The standee looks like this. Ooh, it's a little more than the art that I showed. It looks like a stained glass window in the back, and then you've got like all the souls and things on the side, the hands reaching up. I love it. I love how the standee came out. It came out beautifully. So again, this is on sale still. You can do exclamation point merch. I changed my merch link to just be this one for a bit. The other merch is still up on the Horizons merch site. But he said I look demented in the standee art. I know. Kudoi did this art. I was like, hey, can you do a standee? And he drew a couple concepts. And he was like, I really like this one because you look crazy. And I was like, yeah, we're doing that one. we're doing that. It's very in character. I like it. There's also the art for the candle. Ooh. Ooh. I feel like it's a little hard to see on the product image because it's on the candle, you know, so it's rounded. But it came out so good. It came out so nice. I think Gravity's gonna post it if anyone wanted it. Some people were like, I want that to be my phone background. It's actually my phone background right now. Yeah, very good friends. Yeah, it's hard to see because it gets rounded here, but it's like a much wider piece. You know, if you turn it, you can see the whole thing on here. So, but I really like how that one came out. I tell you, I love the prayer hands. You see, we got the prayer hands together. The prayer hands, so good. She looks normal height next to you. Yeah, I got taller after my time skip. Doomed Yuri art. I almost asked for art of us like killing each other straight up, but I was like, no, we're kind of like teamed up on this one though. Like it does. But I straight up wanted full on Doomed Yuri, like we're ripping each other's guts out kind of shit. But I was like, I think that's a lot for merch, so I didn't go for that. For the merch, yeah, we're of the same creed in this what do you want to call it? Alternate universe? It's not even alternate universe. It's just this lore bit. We actually had We had a whole lore thing written out. We had a whole lore thing written out. And we just never ended up making a lore video. we had a whole, like, I storyboarded it. I still have the storyboard. So if I wanted in the future, I could do it, but I'd just have to, like, throw random money at it, you know? Like, it's not necessarily worth for me to do unless I make stupid money. But I have it. I have it. Is there Cardinal or Pope your character serve? No, no, no. She's literally Satan. I'll give you the TLDR. The idea is, you know, we're streamers just streaming, but we're both from hell. Like, canonically, lore-wise, we're both from hell. She's Satan, right? And I'm just from the underworld. And we're from the same place, canonically, and we exist in each other's lore. And the idea is that because we're streaming all the time, some people started claiming that we weren't doing our jobs down there. So we suited up and purged the heretics. That was kind of like the idea of what the lore was going to be video-wise. It was going to be us, like, suiting up and then purging them and, like, reestablishing things, you know? That was going to be the whole vibe. Yeah, Unholy Crusade moment. Exactly, which is why we both have weapons. I'm more, like, knight-themed, especially, in a way, like, Templar-themed. That was the... So hopefully that makes, like, you can see how it ties together, right? That was what it was going to be. And we were storyboarding that out a long time ago, and then whatever happened in timelines got pushed, and I was like, okay, the first thing we should drop probably is the lore. We still had intent to try it, but I was like, we're on a timeline here. So it was like, if it gets done, it gets done. If it doesn't, it doesn't, you know? Didn't mind too much, but yeah, that was the idea. Yeah, for the Warlock Fit, Mouse is the patron deity. Yeah. Yeah. I want to tie more friends into my lore. Hers is the easiest because her base lore, like, just works with mine to begin with. Fruit as well. Fruit is really easy to fit in lore-wise because she's also just, like, a lich, which works, you know? But I want to see if there are more ways to, like, cross the lore, you know? But I don't necessarily want to do a million lore videos. They're very expensive, and for what? They're very expensive. So I've thought about just getting little comics drawn here and there. Little 4-comas and art pieces and things that, like, allude to it and show imagery, but not doing, like, a whole voice-acted whatever. Zen, yeah, it was more so that Zen fit me into her lore. Vice versa, it doesn't... It can make sense. I can make anything make sense. But I wasn't really in the, like, the shoujo mythos stuff that they did. That was kind of gone by the time I showed up, you know? So we didn't worry about making it fit. That was just like, oh, Zen wants to write you into this. And I went, go ahead. You know, write whatever you want. I'll voice it, I guess, you know? And that was what we did, you know? Yeah, Kuro's another one that's really, really easy to fit together because he was, like, raised. But he's raised from the dead. He's not necessarily, like, in the underworld. Undead and underworld are different, right? Underworld is, like, literally hell, a different plane from Earth. But then undead are things that are raised back to life, typically on Earth. So his lore has him... Yeah, he's a zombie. He's a dead dog that was raised. Do you get it? Haha. Right? He's a zombie. And he does have himself as sort of like a patron, a deity thing of that. He also did retcon it. Yeah, I'm just talking about his OG lore. But, yeah, it makes it harder to link lore together when people change stuff too, which is why I was kind of a fan of the Vishoujo mythos not being necessarily, like, all one perfectly canon story, but instead just a collection of each person's stories that the others can fit into, kind of like the Avengers, where they like, can show up. But it doesn't need to be one specific storyline, you know? I don't know. I thought it was a cool idea, but not without a huge budget. No, I mean... Yeah, Michi is like a Frankenstein monster, yeah. She's like a bunch of people put together, a bunch of parts put together. And she herself is just some sort of entity inhabiting it. I like to imagine her as some disgusting, gloopy creature, like, do you know, oh my god, do you know the manga, The Summer Hikaru Died? / anime? You know that one? The one with the really gay undertones? It's really good. I imagine she's something like that, just like inhabiting. You know what I mean? Not that I think she is, but more like I imagine it like that, you know? I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be cool. Which is kind of like in her OG lore, kind of implied, sort of, but she kept it fake on purpose, you know? Gay in my anime. It basically, like, the anime doesn't come off as about that, but there are undertones where you could make an allegory for all sorts of things going on in it as being allegories for that, right? It's a really good manga. You should read it. I don't really watch anime anymore, but I do read manga occasionally. I read that one. It was pretty solid. I like morbid stuff. It's morbid, you know? I like that. I don't really like horror, like, straight up scary or, like, always being about body horror or whatever, but that one's more about, like, unsettling psychological horror, which I find is more interesting, so yeah, I like that manga. Pretty good. Pretty good. So it makes me think of how Remedy does shared universes in their games where they're largely self-contained stories that reach out and lightly touch each other. Yeah, I think VTuber lore is better done like that. Like, we did a duo project. Okay, here's our duo lore. Yay. But it doesn't mean that, like, everything has to fit together perfectly. You know? It can be a little, it can be a little crazy. It can be too much. You know? Yeah, the horror. Horror! I know people say horror. I can't. It's horror. Florida. Forest, you know? I get horror. Forest. Orange. I have to try. To say it like that. So do you like to imagine she's an eldritch horror puppeteering the body from the inside? Me too. Yeah. That's what I was saying, like, referencing that manga. I like to imagine she's a, I don't know, a weird, gloopy mess, right? And she's just inside this body. Or maybe she's an energy, not a physical thing so much, inhabiting it. Like she's some weird spirit thing. I don't know. But the eyeball imagery, I think, goes along well with that. It's kind of like my friend Minky. If you guys know Minky, she's done a lot of emotes for me. She's got a model where she's like this really pretty girl with pink hair, soft face, and like this rabbit hat. But the lore is that the girl is dead, and she is the rabbit, and it's a parasite, and it's on the top of her head looking like a hat, but it's puppeting her. And it's just like, oh, it's so good. It's so good. I love it. I love it. Philadelphia accent. Philly accent? Are you trying to say me, or are you just talking about general? Not me. Ew. Ew. The way everyone's backstory was connecting, I thought Vishojo was going to make its own webcomic. I think they wanted to eventually do like an anime or something, but they were never going to have the budget because an anime can cost hundreds of thousands for a full episode. Like a good one. And I think they would have liked to do that, but like in what world? In what world? Even other like major companies that make tons of money don't make their own anime. They do like a music video, right? Or they do a short 5-minute PV for, you know, a debut or something. They don't actually make an episodic show because it's too expensive. It's insane how expensive it is, you know? So, I remember when I first joined, they talked about that would be something that would be nice in the future, and I was like, okay. I was like, I think you're gonna keep to animatics at most, you know? But even then, it was pretty much the talents making their own videos, you know? Not so much a company thing. I think the other issue was there were some people that were like, hey, this is my character and my lore that I want to do. If you want to like fit something in, you kind of can. But like this is gonna have to be a highly talked about thing, and even then, like sometimes they did stuff in the lore that people didn't want, you know, and sometimes it was just something that was like, hey, here's a sketch of a scene, can we do this? And the person would be like, okay, and then in the finished product it would feel different, and they'd be like, wait, I didn't want that story point like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, sometimes stuff happened in the lore where people were like, what? Or I think honestly something that's really tough is when your character is less a character and more you, the person, and the character is just a side thing. and someone's writing the character like a character, but it doesn't feel like you. But then they want you to voice it and they want you to show your chat, so your chat imagines like you as well, then it can be a little odd, right? Writing a real person as a character is very different than writing a character and having someone just voice it, you know? So a lot of the time with lore, people were just like, I don't talk like that. And it's hard to have anyone write anyone unless they're the most godly writer ever, or the person themselves who is that person is writing for themselves, you know? It can be really hard. Anytime anyone's drawn a comic of me, it's always felt like the writing's off. And it's not that I think they're a bad writer, it's just people can't write other people exactly. They can only write characters, you know? So it's just tough. I think that was a big part of people not wanting to do as much with the lore, being all interconnected, whatever, because then everyone was constantly writing for everyone else, and everyone had to sit there and cross-check and fix and whatever, and it was a lot of work. And it's tough when you're on your own schedule, and you're like, I need these 8 different people to okay these lines within a week or whatever. Like, it just, you know, it's a lot to juggle. It's a lot to juggle. It's done tastefully well when Michi was making Henya cryptid. Yeah, right? Like, when you draw out an over-characterized version of somebody, or they're doing, like, a bit, that can be funny. Or I liked how everyone was in Michi's lore. For example, I was in there briefly, and I was like, can you do that? And she said, imagine the nerd emote, and you're doing the actually. It's like an overblown characterized version of you. And I was like, oh, perfect. Make me say whatever, right? And they had Matar going, can we keep it? Right? Because she does kind of do that. So you're like, let's over characterize this thing that she does, you know? I thought like that style of writing was good. I think the way Michi, like everyone showed up in Michi's lore felt really good because it felt natural. It was well written because it was very much a thing they already do. And then it was also like, let's characterize it in a funny way, you know? So that was well done. I liked her lore. For sure. It was one of the few times I was asked to like record a little line and I didn't want to change a thing. I was like, no, this is perfect. This is literally perfect. You know? You said, I never considered a VTuber having alternate lore in a way for new designs. Yeah, people also change their minds all the time of what they like to do. They don't want to necessarily world build and have everything be like one story. I think a lot of people take almost the Legend of Zelda approach, where you've got a vibe, you've got an underlying set of truths, but you can change the exact story every time, right? It doesn't really matter. A lot of people do it kind of like that, right? Where it's just a retelling of the same type of thing, but it's a different retelling, you know? Yeah, Zen does whatever, changes it all the time. Because it's not about it all being like a perfect, you know, contiguous lore video. It's about it just being a cool new approach to it, right? So, I like that. I like that. Kayfabe and Western VTubers versus a lot of Eastern ones has always been kind of interesting to compare. Well, a lot of the Western, or rather Eastern VTubers that you see is corporate controlled. Not saying that they don't have any say in what they do, but the corporate control comes in the way of like, hey, don't forget to stay in character. Or not always in character, more so on brand. Like, you can be yourself and your own person, but, you know, don't forget to use this word when you're talking about this thing, or, you know, don't forget you are a dog or whatever it is, right? You are a cat. Do not forget. And they'll suggest like cute ways for them to keep that vibe going. So, but that comes from the corpo side. In Western VTubing, you see more independent VTubers who do not have people in their ear constantly being like, oh, here's a way to keep your character, like, you know, steady. Here's a way to include kayfabe. You could do this sort of thing. Oh, you were going to name the segment this, instead name it that because it has a nod to the animal that you are or whatever. So it's that. That's why.
Goodness, you know? Gracious, this model is amazing.
Goodness gracious.
It reminds me of the Iron Maidens in Elden Ring. It's fucking rad.
Thank you. I just like armor. I just like armor a lot. By George. Jeepers. Yeah, I just like armor a lot. said no clue what the indie scene is like in Japan, TBH. Japan does have a pretty good indie scene, but for the most part, a lot of the smaller VTubers are still part of smaller corpos or projects done in a group format, and it's easier to have your lore and your kayfabe and whatever be propped up when you've got other people that are aware of it around you often. So it's not always like big corpo, you know? Like, there's like Neoport and groups like that, right? They're still corpo, but they're not like, they're not like insanely huge and crazy controlling or anything like that. But they're involved, you know? A lot of smaller Japanese VTubers are definitely like still part of something. And there are independents, but a lot of them don't really care about their lore much. And a lot of their lore is not really them making their own lore, it's people just drawing fan art. You know? So, it depends on the community a lot too. It very much depends on the community. There's some people who like drop one lore tidbit and never say much, but then the fan artists go insane with like their interpretations of that and building story and drawing scenes that look like they're straight out of like an entire show. And it just kind of like reinforces whatever that story is in their mind, right? I think one of the biggest ones, they are big corpo, but Niji has Kane and Kuzuha, the two of them. They have lore together where they're like two entities, one's kind of light, one's kind of dark, right? And they've always been around. Kind of is sort of like a demigod sort of thing, but he like comes across as human and he keeps being reborn again and again, and he doesn't have memory of his past lives. It's just like a vague thing that they've told. They haven't made like all these crazy lore videos. For the longest time, they never did, but they dropped those little tidbits, and then Kuzuha was like, I'm a vampire, and I've actually known him in all of his lives. And then fan artists were like, oh, and they started drawing like tragic art of like old Kane from one, you know, the third life, and then his grave, and Kuzuha's sitting there and he's living through all of it. They're like drawing all this tragic stuff, and it's just artists, you know, like they didn't tell them to do this. They just mentioned a few tidbits of lore, and the artists were like, oh, and they started going crazy. And because of that, their lore got so solidified and so like visually represented because fan artists drew so much. And then later they started doing more with the actual, like they actually made like an episode of an anime sort of thing, and they made like just a whole bunch of stuff, you know, and they started playing into it more and more with official art. But at first they were just friends, and they were like, oh, be cool if like our characters are connected, I guess. Right? They didn't really like, they didn't spell it out that crazily, but the fan art went insane and like built this whole world and this whole universe and all this headcanon. And then they were like, that's pretty good. And they started building on it too. I think it's really interesting how like sometimes these projects are really just kickstarted by the community drawing shit, you know? It's really powerful. It's genuinely really powerful. Or like sometimes you see fan art of one VTuber, and you keep seeing a certain type of fan art that portrays them in a certain way, and it's like so dark and mysterious, and you're like, wow, this character's so cool. I bet this person's so cool. And then you click on their stream and they're like goofy as shit, and you're like, what is this? It's because sometimes the fan artists just do so much work, right? They put in so much work to build this character up, and it's not about the person, it's more about taking tidbits of them and then turning it into this characterized version. And they build up a character like crazy. Your expectations are insane. You know, they go to the stream and they're like, hey, I'll play Minecraft, you know? But I like that. Yeah, I like it. I really like when people have like, you've got the person on stream, and then you have this separate like art vibey thing going on that people draw that's just like an entirely different character. That definitely has like, it definitely has aspects where you could tell it's still based off of the person, but it's not all the person, you know? I like seeing that. I really, really, really like seeing that. I mean, and again, like Kuzuha is one of my favorites to watch. Dude is just like goofy. He's kind of a weirdo. He's very funny. I just watch him. He just plays like Apex and stuff and League. He just sits there and plays video games with friends. And he's a goofy guy. But then you have all this art of him, and he's like a vampire, and he's like sucking blood, and it's all dark and edgy, and there's roses and blood and wine everywhere, you know? And it's like that type of imagery. And they draw him with like a cold expression, and I'm like, this guy says weird, goofy shit all the time. Yeah, they give him fancy vibes. But that's nice, right? I think that's fun to do with like fan art of a character. Yeah, Gap Moe, yeah. That's the fun thing with VTubing, right? Is you can separate the character a bit. I love that shit, man. You said lovingly, Froggy and art versus Froggy and stream. Yeah. Yup. Yup. I don't know. I like that. I think fan artists are so powerful with that, for sure. So, okay, what's your opinion of communities mocking or bullying their VTubers? Sometimes seems stressful to deal with. I've talked about it a million times before, so I'll just TLDR it. I don't like it. I think some people are really capable of handling it, and it's fine. Most aren't that capable of it, but they let people do it because it keeps people watching them, and they're afraid that if they don't allow it, people will be like, uh-oh, fun police, and leave. And it's just genuinely a fear thing. For some people, it's not as much of a fear thing. It's just like, oh, I think I can handle it. But it stresses them out. I personally don't like it, so I just don't allow it. Even if someone's telling a little joke and I don't think it's a big deal, sometimes I'll treat it like it's a medium deal, to portray to everyone else, like, hey, don't push this, you know, don't push this brand because I don't like this. Because I just don't like being treated like that by people that I don't know really well. You know, it's one thing if I know someone, I'm in a VC with somebody and they're like teasing, I'm like, oh, haha, right? But, you know, if I don't like really know you on a personal level, you just don't have the pass, that's all. That's how I treat it. How did you draw that boundary? I made fun of people. I got extra mean. So if someone would push a boundary, you have to overcorrect a little bit, which can feel bad. It can feel bad from like my own perspective, but I will make myself do it anyway because it is the only way, really. But if someone pushes a boundary too much, I push back. They push over a line, I push over a line a little in the other direction, and we end up in the middle, you know? So someone pushes a boundary slightly, and I'm like, yeah, boom, shot on sight. I'll be like, don't fucking do that. Do I care that much? It's usually not that big of a deal, but I'll say it like it's a deal, you know? And that way they get scared and they don't do it again, right? Because if you're like too chill about it, they're like, oh, haha, not a big deal. And the ones that like to push will keep pushing. Yeah. And it's not always that they mean it poorly. Like, you just need to make it clear, you know? So you just overcorrect a little and you'll be fine. That's all. Yeah, blazing. I think people don't expect it because a lot of VTubers don't draw good boundaries. There's some that do and some that don't. It's a good mix, but a lot of the larger ones, they don't draw boundaries or they ignore it, so it's allowed to keep happening in chat, but they just don't directly answer it. Or they don't answer people directly. They wait until a lot of it builds up, and then when it's gotten to be too much to handle, then they sit there and they put a blanket PSA, and they're like, guys, don't do this thing. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, true. But they, like, let it go on for so long. I personally am more of a fan of, like, snipe it instantly. And that person, that specific person, they said that thing, say their username and tell them, don't say that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a fan of that because I feel like people need to be corrected the moment they do a thing to really remember it. Not everyone, but a lot of people. That's how you teach. It's the best way to teach. Doing retroactive shaming doesn't work because they'll be like, oh, I didn't mean it though, so it's not me. You know, they don't take it personally. So you got to make them take it personally a little bit so that they're self-aware, you know? So sometimes it'll be overcorrecting a little bit, but yeah, I do it anyway. Like disciplining a dog, like disciplining anyone. Kids are like that too. Absolutely. Can't remember who said sometimes you have to bully those types of people. Sometimes they don't know what it feels like. They don't realize what they're doing, so you have to give it back to them so that they realize what they're doing, right? They're like, oh, I mean it as a joke, so it's fine. But they don't understand that it doesn't feel like a joke. And they, even if you say that, they still don't get it. They need to feel it, so you have to do it directly to them, you know? But yeah, I think it's good. I think over time, a lot of VTubers have gotten better with that, honestly. I think maybe like 2 years ago, I used to complain about it a lot more because I would see it all the time. It was way worse. I think it's better. It's not gone or anything. And there's still people who, you know, that's their whole brand. Which, again, if they like that and they're able to withstand it, I don't really think it's a problem. I just don't like when it bleeds into other communities, you know? But it's not a problem if someone has that dynamic and they're cool with it, you know? But yeah, it definitely toned down because I think too many people let it go on for too long and then crashed out, you know? And when enough people did it, then people were like, maybe I should think about what I type online, right? You know? I don't know. I never allowed it though, because I was like, I know myself, if I allow this for a certain amount of time, it's just going to piss me off and then I'm going to start saying mean shit. So instead, I'll just lightly push back each time someone pushes a boundary, and there you go. And it works. To me personally, if a streamer calls me out, I internalize that as a core trauma. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. That's why I do it. That's why I do it when someone is like, you'll hear me say it a lot, right? Where someone does something and they're like, oh, sorry. And I go, you're fine. I'm just pointing it out. But I still say their username, or I still like point at that person, you know? I say that a lot to people. But it's like the head on a pike outside your castle walls kind of vibe, where you're like, I don't want people coming here. I want them to know this place is dangerous, so I put the head on a pike to set an example, right? And then people walk past and they're like, what'd he do? He told a bad joke. Oh, you know? Same thing. You have to make an example out of someone sometimes. And you know what? I don't have to do it that often. Because the moment I see it, I call it out, and then people don't do the thing. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. So it's never gotten out of control or whatever, because we you know, we snipe it very quickly. It did that to me more than once, and I'm very much earned. Yeah, that's the thing. And like, I wasn't like, I'm gonna make you feel like you can never come back ever again. I just pointed out in the moment. That's all. That's all. Viking. Yeah, you were also publicly executed. It's true. It's true. I don't know. Some people need it. Not everyone needs it, but you don't know who needs it because you don't know people like that. So you have to just kind of like do it to everybody, man. I don't know. Community's better off for it though, because I don't have people here that push boundaries that much, you know? And you guys are all good at recognizing, like, you have a fairly good idea of what I'm okay with and what I'm not. I think you guys sometimes are a little too scared. Sometimes. I've been trying to get you guys to ease up a little. But overall, you guys get it. So if someone else comes in and says something and you're like, oh, she wouldn't like that, you guys know. And you know what I mean? And like the vibe of the community. I don't always have to be the one calling it out now at this point, right? You once watched me unexist an entire dude who tried to backseat Outer Wilds. That was not nice of him, though. It was not nice. And he was trying to say he wasn't backseating, literally in the same breath as backseating. He had to go. He had to go. Had to take him out. And then he was mad at Oshi for being a mod. He called him an unemployed loser. Crazy. Crazy. The crazy thing is, for the most part, my mods are like very employed, you know? So, I don't know, man. I don't know. Keyword for the most part. Oh, it was funny. It was funny, man. Ugh. So I don't understand the stigma of mods being unemployed. It's also like a crazy thing to say to people nowadays when unemployment is crazy. People can still find jobs, but a lot of them are working from home, doing like a couple hours here and there because it's all they can find. And like, that's just how it is. Also, a lot of work is just remote, so people can do this stuff on the side, no problem. It's just a weird time to be saying that because someone's in front of a computer, right? I don't know. Like, it just shows me this person's not thinking, right? Self-report moment. What type of class do you like playing in RPGs? I don't know. I bounce around. I bounce around between everything. It depends. I don't know. It depends on who I'm playing with. Sometimes I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, you know, I'm gonna play like a Crusader or a Paladin or whatever, and I'm gonna tank for people. But then I'll also do like magic users and ranged users a lot if they have like really annoying rotations to spare my friends from doing that. Is this a bot? This has to be a bot. Hold on, let it exist. I think it's a bot. Let it exist, mods. I'm curious. His specialization is for insects. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I like to play every type of everything in RPGs, though. Oh, now it's not typing. I was ready for it. They've been subbed for a year? But they haven't been following, and that was their first ever message. So have they? I don't think they have been. I don't know. I don't know. I get excited when we get a new bot sometimes, because sometimes they say really, really funny shit. So I don't know. Do you have a preferred role in a party? I like tanking. I like tanking. I actually like healing in RPGs if it's interesting. So like FF14 has a lot of mitigation healers where you're like shielding up and giving them buffs and things. And then from there you're doing a lot of debuffing and like, you know, you're just DPSing a lot of the time as well. You're just doing DPS rotation. I think that's more fun. I don't like white mage, right? White mage, ugh. Right? Oh, they typed something. I don't know. Can't tell if it's an edgy kid. We'll just leave them, see what they say. But I don't know. DPS can also be fun if they have like a really interesting rotation, and I like combo stuff. I don't want to just like slap stuff in whatever rotation. I like when it's specifically like comboing, like old RO monk style stuff. Or I don't know, I like punchy physical fighters a lot of the time. I don't know. I don't know what else. I like to play everything. I feel like I play something different in every game. So I don't really gravitate toward one thing. Just whatever looks interesting. So it's funny you mentioned 14 because everyone complains the healing's super boring, partially because they've never done much to build out that DPS side of their kit. Yeah, well, they don't have fucking orange parses, okay? I'll see you on Team Orange, buddy. You ain't seen my Scholar gameplay, dude. No, genuinely, I've been parts of raid statics where we've gone insane, and if I'm not DPSing above a certain point, I'm out of there. I'm out of there. So, yeah, no, I would actually play Scholar quite a bit. I also really liked, you know, Scholar, Summoner were tied in 14, so they leveled together. So I was sitting there and playing quite a bit of that when we needed a DPS before I went and, you know, built up every class. And old Summoner, back when it still did good damage, was really weird. It was like the longest rotation ever. It was odd. Scholar's a healer. Yeah, but it's a mitigation healer. It's a buffing and shielding one. Which was fun, because then you have to know the fight, and beforehand you have to set up for people who are going to get hit. You have to know, oh, this is an AoE. I'm going to use this shield, or I'm going to put this on someone and then spread it to everybody else, this shield, or whatever, you know? Sage was fun, though. Yeah, Sage was really fun. Old Summoner was fucking weird. Yeah, I liked Old Summoner. I stopped playing after the newer changes. to Summoner. I don't play it anymore. I did Monk and Machinist and Warrior and Scholar. And just depending on whatever my group needed, I would play that. But I ended up playing a lot of tank, actually. I ended up playing Warrior often. So, you're still playing it all? Not much. Every now and then I get back on and I, like, do a chunk of MSQ and say hi to people. That's really it. I'm not really part of any raid statics anymore. I haven't done any of the recent raiding. I don't have a Pictomancer even. I really wanted Blue Mage to be like a nice, normal, viable class, and I was so sad when Blue Mage was just like its own minigamey kind of thing. Because I saw it and I was like, oh my god, Blue Mage! I'm gonna put a funny mask on, I'm gonna be a Blue Mage. I was so ready. And I was like, this is gonna be my whole personality, and then it wasn't even like a normal class. And I was so upset. Oh, so sad. I really wanted Blue Mage to be like my thing. I wish it wasn't its own thing, or at least I wish there was a version where it was, you know, usable. I don't know. Could have been cool. Also, Rico, I saw your question before. Sorry for being off topic. That's fine. Love to hear your opinion on what you think is important for streamers to not burn out on their subathon. Small or big, no matter. Subathon seems so darn hard mentally. Well, I haven't really done one. I've done like a single day one on a birthday kind of thing. I think you just have to like sit there and pay attention to your own limits by doing your own long streams beforehand. And I think you should start small and you should do like smaller events, like a single day subathon or a weekend or something like that, to see what that feels like and how long that takes you to recover from. Some people will do an event and they'll be like, oh, it's just a week. And then they're not like back to normal until 3 weeks after. They're still functioning, they're still streaming, but their sleep schedule's off for the next 3 weeks. Their voice is fucked up. You know, like, you need to sit there and really spend time on it, figuring out what you're okay with, you know, like what your limits are. I also think subathons are good, but super not worth the burnout. I think it's really good to do them, but don't do the forever timer. Time it, or not time it, but like cater it toward ending within a week or two or whatever amount of time you want to do. Don't let them go on for forever. When I see people doing a month-long one and they're not like literally Mouse or someone that is like built to sit in front of their computer all the time, no, just don't do it. Either cap it yourself or you do the thing where every sub for the first day adds, you know, let's say you're a really small streamer, so every sub adds a minute for the first day. Great. The second day, now you change it. Every sub adds 30 seconds now. The third day, every sub adds 20 seconds. And just keep going down every day or every couple of days. Yeah, you diminish everything. So the subs given at the beginning of the event really carry you forward on the timer. But the longer it goes on, the harder it is to keep the timer going if it's like, you know, about to end. And this way it for sure will at some point end. It for sure will end. And it won't go on a month, because I think that's so unhealthy. And people really, they throw shit at you at the beginning and when the timer's about to end. A lot of time in the middle is just whatever. The other thing is your subathon going to be fun? It's so much better to do a week that is all planned out and having a week of all events than having a month of just whatever streaming. Just laying there in a chair, playing fucking whatever. You're not able to talk half the time. You're playing Friend Swap, which I think is fine for a good amount of it, but you do nothing but that. Like, is that content even worth it? Are what people are paying for that timer to extend, is it extending good content for them? You know, if you have like events sprinkled out, it can still be good. Or if it's for charity, then it like doesn't matter, you know? But sometimes it's just like, yeah, it's just numb, right? You'd be better off doing a shorter thing with more events actually planned. So I would make that timer very unforgiving, make it shorter, pack it full of events, and then go for it. Yeah, Sirens is really good, right? She genuinely, like, she's done really well at making sure there are events all the time. And I think hers is a really good example, for sure. A really, really good example. So, Yeah, just look at other people's subathons and really analyze, like, was this a good one if I were a viewer? Would I have felt like I'm glad I paid for that extra time on this or not? And look at what those people do where the answer is yes, and then, you know, just take some notes. That's my thought. That's my thought. But it's not worth the burnout, you know? If you're not getting, like... The other thing is, yeah, you get subs, but are you making content during that subathon that you can put on YouTube or can help promote you or can, like, push you outside of Twitch? If you're not, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You're better off just being normally consistent, you know? In my opinion. Again, you can make a good subathon, but you have to try. You know, don't just hit go live and be like, I'll just stream it a lot and people are going to be so entertained by that, because they're not. Really? They're going to leave your tab open, you're going to get ad revenue, but, like, you know, hope that helps. That's my personal thoughts. Some people may not agree, but that's how I feel personally. Yeah, you said VTubers low-key get the debuff of not being able to do cooking stuff like Lud was able to do with his. Yeah, and we can't do, like, IRL streams either. I think people who are not VTubers have a much easier time doing them because they can go and do IRL streams. They can go eat at a restaurant. They can leave the camera down on the table and just sit there and eat. And people will just watch them eat and be entertained, right? VTubers kind of can't. If you just sit there and eat, you have to put a video on because people need their Cocomelon, right? Because they can't see you, like... They can't see your food. You know what I mean? Like, they don't feel like they're part of what you're doing there because they can't see it. So it gets kind of difficult. That's why I think doing stuff like hand cams are perfect. You can't really IRL stream and go outside super easily, but you can hand cam. So if you do like a cooking stream and you have a setup for that, not bad. A little difficult with potential doxing, all the, you know, reflective bowls and shit. Like, you know, be careful. But one thing I've seen some people do that I thought was good, doing like a puzzle. Very lightly talking and just doing a puzzle. It's nice, like, not looking at a screen time. It's nice brain wind down time. Really keeps you from getting burnt out. Some people build model kits. Yeah, Michi did Legos. I think if you can throw stuff like that in, it's, like, way healthier. Way healthier. I don't know. But just being like, yeah, let's go subathon, and then you just sit there and are like, video game, video game, video game, video game. You're gonna kill your, just your eyes. You're gonna kill your eyes. If not everything else, you know? But I think that's the right things to do. Hi, Nucky. Would you like to say hello? No, you're just gonna block me? You're just gonna block the camera? It's the one thing that makes me wish I was a Flesh streamer. That I had face cam is just this cat. It's the one thing where I'm like, man, I wish you could see him. He literally, like, you know what he does? I get Mike Wazowski. You know, Mike Wazowski would be in a frame and then they'd, like, perfectly cover him. That's what this cat does. He sits in the center of my desk, right in between me and my phone. Right? Because he knows, like, I don't want him to be exactly here. He's very aware of the location I don't want him, so he sits right there. And he just plants himself there, and then now you see me not moving. No, the trackers don't pick up the cats. They don't pick up non-human faces. Non-humanoid. Oh, Wolfie's here too. Hi, Wolfie. Wait, is it a party in here? What is going on? Wolfie, I wish you would meow for the people. I wish you would show up more. They don't get to hear from you. Oh. He just jumped onto my stomach. Thanks. I almost threw up on you, Wolfie. I almost died. Wolfie, would you like to meow for the people? Wolfie, speak. Speak. He's opening his mouth, but he's like just pushing air out. Wolfie, speak. I wish you could see it. It's so cute. He just opens his mouth and just goes like, ah. But you, of course, don't hear that. And Nucky's still blocking half of my face, of course. He is a mouth breather. He has a little bit of a weak chin. So when he lifts up his chin and he looks up at me, his little mouth like hangs open. You see his teeth. Which is part of why I named him Wolfie, because his teeth are sticking out, you know? So ferocious, Wolfie, so ferocious. He's really cute. He's a cat supermodel. A weak chin is a sign of nobility. Very true. Which Henry was it? Was it the 7th or the 8th? Which one was the one that was like so deformed that his wife was even scared of him? Which one was that? Was it the 4th? All of them? Well, one in particular, right? Yeah, the Habsburgs. Oh, yeah. Lucky, you're like half covering me, and you're making me like tweak out. Bolt the model. Can you get a hobby, please? I have all these toys for you. I even got you another cat. My second cat, Lucky, I got him for you. And you're just gonna sit here and block me? I got you a cat. It's right there. It's looking at you. I got you a cat. He looked at him when I said that. Yeah, him. That's your cat. That's literally why I got a second cat, was to keep Nucky having some companionship. And Wolfie's the kind of cat that loves other cats. So he wants to hang out with Nucky all the time. Not all the time, he sleeps a lot. But like if he sees him around, he'll play with him and stuff. But Nucky makes no effort to go to him. Isn't it so sad? Nucky, he's right there, see? Yeah, you're looking at him. I got you that cat. That's your cat. Did you know that? That's your cat. He looks bewildered. He never knew. He never knew. Did you just find out? Lucky, that's your cat. You're supposed to hang out with it. It's like when you get a kid a goldfish and they forget about the goldfish. And the parents just take care of it. That's what happened. Yeah, there's another cat. What cat? There's another cat. What cat? Lucky, go play with your cat. That's your brother. Go play with him. Yeah, my cat is a cat. Well, I've told the story before, but I got my second cat to keep my first cat company, because my first cat was originally part of a pair of brothers. And I lived with some family, and one of the cat brothers got bonded to him, and Nucky was bonded to me. More so than they were bonded to each other as siblings, these cats. So when I moved out, I took Nucky with me, and I was a little sad because Nucky's brother, I was like, oh, that's also my cat, you know, I'm gonna miss him. But realistically, like, they were both bonded to their people, to us, more than they were to each other. So I said, well, I still want to have a second cat for him because he's never been a single cat. Single household, you know, single cat household kind of thing. He's not used to that. So I moved into a place, and I had Nucky there, and a week later, I brought him Wolfie. Now, before I moved into that place, I signed the papers to get Wolfie. I found him, and I was like, he's perfect. I was going to wait some time, but I found him, and he was just perfect. He just loved other cats so much, and his demeanor was great, and I loved him. I was like, I want this cat very badly. So I signed the papers to get Wolfie, and I'm going to go pick him up a week after moving. So I moved Nucky in for that week, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be such a tough week for him. You know, he's going to be alone with only me. And then Nucky had the greatest week of his life. And he was so happy. He loved being a single cat. And he was like, oh, you're all mine and no one's here to bother me. And I was like, oh, he's like that. And then a week later, I was like, haha, just kidding. Here's another cat. And he was like, what the hell is this? You know? And I was like, oops, and put a cat in front of him. Oops. And I brought Wolfie. And now you have to live with him. I got this cat for you. No, they do play, though. Wolfie's actually really attached to me as well. Like, he wants to play with Nucky, but when I'm not streaming, I'm like with my cats a lot. And Wolfie is like very clingy with me, so he just doesn't do it in this room as much. He kind of does, but if I'm like talking a lot, he backs up. Or he can kind of tell when I'm streaming versus when I'm not. So if I'm playing games with friends, but my voice is like a little lower, you know, I'm talking like this and I'm just chilling, you know, for the most part, he'll then come up to me and he'll be like hanging out with me more. So, but I don't know why when I'm streaming and I'm projecting my voice slightly more, not that I do a lot, but like a little bit, I think he can tell the difference. And like, if he's jumped on my desk while I'm streaming and I've been like, don't do that, Wolfie's a good boy. He's a good cat. I said it once and he was like, okay, I won't. And he hangs out generally in the room, but not on this desk. Nucky, I said don't do that once, and he was like, never mind, and he keeps jumping on the desk. He's just a stinky cat, you know. He's very independent, but Wolfie listens. I could tell him no to something once, and then I can, like, it's so hard to undo it, you know. He just is really, really, really good. He's really good. He's, I think, low-key a perfect cat. Perfectly trained. He's just kind of stupid, you know. He's kind of stupid. Which I think is cute. But he can't figure anything out. He can't figure anything out on his own. I have to teach him everything. Whereas Nucky just, like, learns shit on his own. He's incredibly smart. I don't know. Wolfie's like, the way he acts sometimes, legit, like, he's got a dent in his head, you know? He's just, like, actually that stupid. And I'm not joking. I've taken care of so many cats, especially when I did cat rescue and I was fostering, right? And I've taken care of so many, and I've never had a cat so stupid. But he's just airheaded. It's really cute, though, so I don't mind. I like him because he's stupid, you know? Right, Wolfie? Just no thoughts behind his eyes. One of my closest friends, whenever I have to go anywhere, she'll come here and she'll cat sit. And she'll send me pictures of them. Every time I come back, I'm like, how were they? And she gives me the rundown, you know? And she's always like, yep, Wolfie, I'm always astounded. No thoughts in that head. Nothing behind those eyes. And I'm like, yep. Yep. Absolutely just air in his skull. It's crazy. And I'm like, okay, so it's not just me. And she's like, yep. Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny. I actually love, that's one of my most favorite things when I'm setting her up to cat sit for like a weekend or a week or whatever. No, he's not an orange cat. By the way, color has nothing to do with personality for cats. But I set her up so that she can stay over if she wants, because my cats are used to me like always being home and they're very attached. So I set her up. I give her like a whole guest room. I lay out food. I'm like, what food do you want? I'll get it. I'll leave it here. I give her money to order in. I'm like, oh yeah, you can order from these places. Ooh, everything's walkable. So she's like, I went for so many walks recently. To the point where she's like, can I please cat sit for you? Please leave your home. I want a cat sit. She keeps trying to kick me out of my house. I make it like a B&B, you know? I set her up with the good stuff. I set up like a whole spa, everything. Now I've got the cheeky soap array. I'm like, oh, what soap do you want? I got so much soap. Everything. It's so nice. But I don't really like leave a lot. And a lot of the time, if I take like a weekend off a stream or something, I'm still like around here. I'm just hanging out with family, you know? So, I don't know, man. I don't know. So she doesn't really get to babysit too much. Just the occasional, right, Lucky? But you love your babysitter. You love it. He does like her a lot. Said, I thought it was universally agreed the female cats that are predominantly orange or crazy. The internet made that up. It's fake. Orange cats are jerks? Nope, it's fake. It's fake. I used to have orange cats, and they were very sweet and normal. Quite smart, actually. The whole cat fur color having to do with personality thing is a complete myth. And people literally can just type shit on the internet and other people will believe it. They will actually believe it. It has nothing to do with it. What might affect it is actual breed, but cats don't really have that many breeds the way we do with dogs. We don't really breed them like crazy. And there are only just so many breeds of cats that people tend to have. For the most part, almost all of them have domestic short hairs, domestic medium hairs, or domestic long hairs. They're all the same breed. It's just a matter of if it's short, medium, or long. And almost all of you, if you look at your cat's papers and it says breed, it'll say DSH, DMH, or DLH. And that is their breed. Nearly all cats are that. And then there are some people that are like, I have an Egyptian Mau, I have a Bengal cat, I have a, whatever. There are some breeds, but the only time if they have a, a tendency to be different because of how they look, whatever, it's when it's an actual cat breed. Yeah, listed as cat, yeah. It's true, it's true. But it's rare that people actually have a cat of a specific breed. They're almost always, domestic short hair. That's all. You always wonder with long-haired ones if they're mixed with a breed. No. Yeah, the breed is domestic long hair. It's exactly the same as domestic short hair. It just has long hair. That's it. That's just how it is. They're all the same. Then there are some, like one of my friends is a Cornish Rex, and I'm listed as her official, if I die, give this person my valuable Cornish Rex person. Those like fancy breeds do exist, but they're very rare. Very, very rare. You just started watching cat shows like dog shows. The cat shows are kind of funny because the cats are a little more unruly. They don't want to listen as much. So like they'll be like picking up the cat and they'll be showing them off and they'll be like, oh yes, I'm checking the length of the body. I'm seeing how long they extend. And you see them grab the cat and extend it. And they're like, how long does the cat get? Like, it's really weird. Some of the stuff they do during cat shows to like examine the cat. And the cats don't sit there and stay still the same way all the dogs do. Some of them do, but most of them are just kind of walking around and like the people examining are really trying to like get to them somehow. It's funny. It's really funny. How long does Nucky get? Really long. If he's laying down on my bed, okay, and I've got my head on the pillow, and he has his head on the pillow right next to me, looking at me, okay? We're looking at each other. We're facing each other, because he does this a lot. Lying down, he's pretending he's a person. He's got his head on the pillow, looking at me. He'll extend out long way, and his back legs, if he pushes them down, will get down to, like, my knees, okay? He's long. He's a tall, long cat. He's a big boy, and he's not a fat ass. He's just a long, big cat. He's a big boy, and he's not anything crazy. He's just a cat. He's just long. He's a big boy. Yeah, so he's at least like 3 inches long. But he's a big boy. He is. Whenever the a standard male cat is usually like 10 to 12 pounds if it's not fat. And he was like 13 pounds, and they were like, don't let him get skinnier. Like that's an idea. Like his natural weight that I shouldn't let him get much smaller than is like 13. They're like, don't let him get smaller than this, then he'll be too skinny. So that's all just like normal, like skeletal muscle weight for him, which is pretty big. He's not like Maine Coon size necessarily, but for a domestic short hair, he's huge. I didn't know he was going to be that huge when he was a kid. And he was the same size as the others in his litter. He was just, they were all tiny, but he just grew. He got so long. He can pack up really small, though. He can curl in really small and look very normal. But if I, like, grab him under the armpits like a toddler and I start, like, lifting him off the floor, he'll extend, and I'll be almost stood all the way up before his back feet get off the floor. He's really long. The cat's cut and shredded. He is. I'm looking at him right now. Lucky, did you know that? You're yolked and shredded. He had no reaction to that. He has nothing to say to that, for the record. He has no reaction to being told he's yolked and shredded. You want a Maine Coon? No, you just want to go to a shelter and get a cat. You just want to go to a shelter. Don't get a Maine cat. A Maine cat, a Maine Coon. They're nothing wrong with them, but they're not going to be so different from just a big-ass cat that you get at the shelter. I think Maine Coons are still nice, but they have a lot of personality. They're kind of like the huskies of the cat world, where they get kind of independent to the point of being annoying. I still like them, but they're very independent. And if you want to be able to control your cat, it's going to be a little harder. It's going to be a little harder with a Maine Coon. Now, that could be nice personality-wise. It could be cool. But on average, not all of them are like that, but on average, the personality, kind of leans that way a little more. And you have to be, really good at training them. Big divas, yeah, big personality. Not always the right idea for people who are cat people that want a cat, because they're a little easier to deal with, you know? So I think you go to a shelter, you get a default cat, and you just be like, I really want a big cat. Are any of them particularly large? Not age-wise, but like physically large. And if someone's like, yeah, this one's gonna be a big boy, look at his paw size or whatever, you get that one. That's what I did with Wolfie. He had huge paws. He had big paws. I was like, oh, he's gonna be a big boy. I want him. He's not as big as Nucky, but he's a big cat, you know? But I think the right way is to just go to a shelter, go a couple times, or a foster group. I like local foster groups especially. But go and ask to see the cats and ask if you can do a few visits and be like, I want to pick the right one. I want to interact with them a few times. And just do that. Just go hang out at that shelter. I actually think volunteering is a great way. You can be like, I want to really slowly choose the one that's for me. Do you let people volunteer once a week for a month? Can I do that until I decide which one I want? Because then what you can do is you can go clean out the cages, help out, whatever. And then by the end of that month that you're volunteering, and once a week, twice a week, whatever it is, you might kind of be attached to one a little bit. You might just be like, I'm particular toward this one, right? And that's a really good way to pick one if you're not really sure. You don't want to grab any cat. But I also think cats are pets where if you just grab any cat, you can mesh with them. It will work. It will work. Yeah, I got attached to 5. That was my problem. I get attached to animals instantly. Like I spend an hour with an animal and I'm like, it needs me, Great when you're in a foster program, because then getting really attached to the cats means you're going to be really picky about who gets what cat and doing the right match, whatever. But yeah, that's my issue. I like animals more than people. And I just get attached to animals so fast, dude. So quickly. You have 9 cats? Insane. I could never. Who could do that, dude? Good on you for saving them, but I could not. You got your cat from your friends who adopted her? You lived together and she attached herself to you while ignoring them. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Do you recommend a certain age for cats? My mom got 2 kittens a while ago and it seemed like a lot for her. Okay, hot take. I think you should adopt adult cats. Not just because the adult cats need it, but because they're already mellowed out and sweet. And they're very ingrained into what their personality is. Right? When they're kittens, they're cute and they're playful, whatever, but they're going to change over time. You go to an adult cat, you're getting what you see. You are getting exactly what you see. You go and interact with a cat in the shelter. They might change personality when in the home a bit because they're adapting to a new environment. But that's the cat you're getting, right? Which is why I think fostering adult cats is the actual, if you want to find the right one, the perfect one, go to a foster group. Be like, I want to adopt a cat. I want to adopt an adult. I don't want a kitten. Let me foster some and see what's good. And they'll let you foster 1 at a time, 2 at a time, whatever it is, so long as you qualify. And you can just try taking one here and there. And eventually you'll just find one and be like, I like living with this cat. I just really like living with this one. Would you recommend that to a first-time cat owner? Yeah, I actually think first-time cat owners would do better with an established adult cat over a kitten. I would. And when a foster program has taught them and deals with them into adulthood, a lot of fostered cats are way better trained than shelter cats, because in the shelter, they're just keeping them alive, right? They're keeping them alive and taking whatever care of them they can. Foster homes give them the entire home life, and these are parents that are like, they know how to train cats a lot of the time. And when cats are like little, they tend to give them to the fosters that are very experienced to train them up, and then they can be, staying with fosters that are less experienced. So when you get them from foster groups, not always, but on average, they tend to be better trained. That's why Wolfie is so perfect. I didn't have to train him. He was just from a foster program that by the time I got him, he was already perfect. I tell him no one time. Don't do that thing. One time, and he never does it again. Just because they were really good at training him. And they did it in a very sweet way. They didn't smack their cats around. They just did it very properly. They knew how to handle cats, And he's so good. I go, Wolfie, place, And he goes back to his bed. No, he's really trained well, though. But he's good. So I recommend fosters. I do. Hi, Boone. Hi, Boone. And then I have Nucky, who I raised, but he was also raised with other family members here and there, who absolutely spoiled him and undid some of my training, and now he's stinky. He's overall pretty good. He's mostly stinky because he's smart. He knows what he can get away with, and he likes to push buttons. It's partially just a personality thing, but it's also due to them undoing some early training. 100%. I would be training him to not eat food from my plate, for example, and then I'd look over, and like one of my brothers would be eating a sandwich, and they'd pull some ham out of it and give it to him. And I'd be like, what are you doing? Dog, what are you doing? If you wanted to save that on the side and give it to him later after you're done, in the area where he eats food, it's fine. They would do shit like that all the time. And I was like, brother, I can't. You're teaching my cat that that's fine. And, there's a point where it's just hard to undo it. He reaches for my food all the time, dude. And you can't expect cats to never try. You can't. They're not the same as dogs. But he like really lunges for it occasionally. Whereas Wolfie sits there and he doesn't reach for the food. He reaches for me. He puts his paw on me and looks at me. He's like, please, can I have some? And then he's still waiting for me to give him the food. You know what I mean? Because he never had that leeway. So if you're going to get a cat, go get like an adult from a foster program that's been well trained, and if that, especially if it's your first cat, and then you'll get a good idea of like, this is what they should be like. They can end up like this, and then when you get a kitten sometime later, it's a lot easier to, know what you're training them into. If that makes sense. You could also just research a lot, watch a lot of videos, and you should still be fine with a kitten. I'm not saying like it's a bad idea, but if you're wary about it at all, just get an adult. Actually, my last set of cats that I was taking care of before I moved away from one spot and couldn't foster those same ones anymore, there were a few cats in the program, and there were a few of them that I was super attached to. And there was one that I wanted to take that looked like Nucky but fat. He just looked like Nucky, but he was just really fat. And I wanted to take him so badly. But then COVID hit, and they had to redistribute some of the cats and stuff, and I wanted to take him. I was like, let me foster him. They didn't really have a lot of room to keep them in the little shelter area they were in. So I was like, let me foster him, because I kind of wanted him. And some other lady sniped it. She was like, I really want to foster him. She got like her message in first, so she got to take him. She ended up adopting him, which is good, but I was so upset. I was like, I want him, because I had been working on him and helping him lose weight. And like doing the little, get him to walk through water on a treadmill kind of thing. And he had lost some weight, and he was so sweet. And when I would have him in a little area with cages, I would let the cats out of the cages and let them have time. I'd sit with them for hours, and I'd just sit there and work on a laptop and like let them have time out. When it was time to put them back in the cages, I'd be like, all right, guys. Some of the cats knew the drill. They get right back in. He would just go into a bed and he'd like flop over and try to look cute. And he'd like go limp so that I wouldn't put him in the cage. And he was like trying so hard to not go in, but he would do it by trying to act cute. And oh man, he was so good. He was so good. I was like, I want this cat so bad. But some lady sniped him. That'd work on you. It worked. It worked on me. I knew exactly what he was doing, but I'd get everyone else in their cages first, and I'd be like, all right, buddy, you gotta go in. And he'd be like, oh. And I'd have to like take this mopey cat and get him into his cage. He was so sweet. He literally looked like Knuckles, but fatter though. It was cute. It was cute. He was great. But he got adopted, so it's fine. And that's when I, instead of that cat, they gave me these 2 others that were a bonded pair that I had to foster. And they were really good, but the one of them was a unironically stage 5 clinger, and he would I felt bad because they lived most of their lives in a cage together, because they really thought that they would get adopted because they were so sweet and so personable, so they just kind of like left them in this one place to show them. And they didn't really get to live in foster environments very much, so I was very glad that I got to take them. I was like, good, they really deserve like a home environment. And this cat, you could tell he was very excited to be living with somebody, and he was very personable. He wanted that. He would come, if I was sitting in my chair and I moved a centimeter, and you could hear that I moved a centimeter, which he is a cat, he could hear it, he would come sprinting from wherever he was. Even if he was just asleep in deep sleep, his eyes would not even be open, and he'd be eyes closed sprinting from the other room over to me, and he'd like crash along the way, and he'd jump up and he'd start licking my face like a dog because he was like really attached. If I moved at all, I gave any sign of life, he'd just come running. And then he'd jump on me, and he would drool so much, like just globs all over me. And I was like, ew, but I let him because he was just having a good time. But he would just sit there drooling and like licking my face and drooling, and I was like, oh my God. But it was because he was like deprived, you know? So I was like, he needs me. And he became my baby for months and months until I got him adopted. He was great. He was part of a bonded pair too. And his brother was so just lazy. Very sweet cat, but he just laid there and slept. And I would go to him and pet him, and he started like making biscuits. He'd be like, but he didn't seek me out. But if I went to him at any point, he was like, it's time. He would lock in. Yeah, it was separation anxiety. Yeah, he was a very anxious cat. I think it was because they left him in a cage environment for so long. And they thought he would get adopted because they got the 2 of them in when they were like 3 months, and they lived there until they were like a year and a month. Not being in a home environment. And it was a large cage. It was big. It wasn't small. So they had room to physically move around. They weren't like physically deprived, but they didn't have people always with them. And you could tell the brother was fine, but the clingy cat, you could tell he needed that. He really liked people. So I was kind of excited to foster them, you know, because I was like, oh, they really need this. But he would he would like jump up onto my lap, and he'd be sitting, I'd be cross-legged or legs down or normal, whatever. He'd be sitting on my lap looking up straight at me, and he'd put his paws on either side of my neck, like around my shoulders, and he'd just start rubbing on my chin, rubbing the top of his head all over my chin. And he'd do it, no joke, 20 minutes. Unironically, he would not stop for 20 minutes. He'd be like licking and rubbing his head on me and stuff, and he would do this multiple times a day. And it was like, I was like, my God, he's so anxious. My God. But I let him, you know, because I was like, well, it makes him comfortable. And he like slowed down over time because I think he could tell like I wasn't leaving, you know, I was just sitting there. And we ended up finding a home where there was a stay-at-home mom. They had kids. It was like a big family. And I was like, this is perfect. This is perfect. And we placed him and his brother there. But he was anxious as shit, man. He was so, oof. I felt so bad. But it was interesting how 2 cats that were raised in the same cage, same environment, everything, one of them was like really deprived. The other one was chilling. He didn't care. You know, like cat personalities are so set when they're young. They're kind of just born the way they're going to be a little bit, whether they're clingy or needy or not. And they were just polar opposite. One could have stayed in that cage forever and been so happy because he just wanted to hang out and occasionally get pet, maybe. He was great. They were both great. You feel bad when you stop letting cats be affectionate because you have to get up or etc. Me too. But, you know, if you make it so that you're always available for them like that, then they'll just keep doing it. And they'll expect you to always stay, you know? Instead, you do get up, but you let them come with you to your new location, and then they'll get used to seeking you out when they want you, you know? Like, they'll just do it. They'll just do it, and they'll learn, like, oh, if I want to hang out, I have to go to them, which is what Nucky does. He's on my desk, and I've been petting him this whole time I've been talking, by the way. This entire time. Because he's just sitting on my mouse pad in front of my mouse, so I can't reach it very easily. Just chilling like a loaf. And that's what he does, you know? He knows that if he wants to hang out with me, he has to come here, so he does. Oh, yeah, detective. My cats are pretty good at me leaving. I think because they have each other. I think if they were solo cats, they'd both have a little bit of an issue. But Nucky waits for me. He waits for me in a window. And, like, if I look up, he's, like, watching. He's looking down and watching from the window. So if I'm, like, walking down the street coming back, I can look I can look up and I can see this tiny dot with ears. And I'm like, oh. And he's sitting there staring. He's staring at the ground, staring at the sidewalk, waiting for me to come back. And it's literally that meme of SpongeBob where he's like, what'd you do while I was gone? Patrick goes, wait for you to come back. That's him. He just sits there at the window and stares. And he can tell which dot on the sidewalk is me. And I can tell because he looks. He looks and he stares a certain way. And he, like, starts standing up. And then I go up and I come in the door. And he's like, hi. He just knows, man. Wolfie also waits, but he doesn't wait near the window. He just chills. And I have cameras. I have cameras so I can, like, see them. And if they hear me, like, coming down the hall, Wolfie starts stretching a certain way, you know. They know. But they're pretty good about it. They don't really, like, complain when I leave. They don't sit there and meow at the door. Nucky used to do that, but he's gotten much better over time. I also leave a lot less. You know, he has me, like, all the time, so. Back when I had to do my normal job and I had to, well, I wouldn't say this is not a normal job at this point, but you know what I mean. When I was in the normal workforce, he would definitely get a little more anxious when I leave and be out all day, but, you know, that's why I got him a cat. That's why I got my cat a cat, you know. I think that helps. Yeah, traditional job. Yeah, I kind of miss it. I don't want to necessarily not do this, though. So, I don't miss it enough to go back to it. But I do miss it. I like a normal workplace. It's also nice you blend in. You don't have to talk to people all the time kind of thing. Miss office life at all? Office life? Yes. I like being a cog in the machine a little bit. Or having a machine, having other cogs to place or to work with. I like when everyone has their role, you know, and you're responsible for this part. With streaming, it's just you. Even if you have people hired in as your team and there is a machine going, parts fall out, you have to replace the part. You know what I mean? This cog's a little messed up. You gotta fix it. You gotta do this thing. Like you're very responsible for the whole thing. And I do love a little standard, you know, I'm just in charge of this thing, don't bother me. You know, you don't get that in streaming at all. You don't. Unless you're the biggest streamer ever and you have a whole team and you have hired in management that manage your entire team and you don't have to talk to any of them, then you kind of get that experience. Then your job is, you know, again, just make the content and hand it off. But you got to be, like, really rich for that, you know? Like, you got to be really far along. And even then, typically, it doesn't end up being that because then it's not your touch that makes it, right? So, it's definitely, different. It's definitely different. But I don't mind it. I don't dislike it. There's just a lot of convenience that I don't have with that. But there are other conveniences I do have that I think make it a good trade-off, so it's fine. You know? Like, I'm not going to be one of those people that sits there and is like, oh, streaming's so hard. you know, because it's not, the stuff outside of it can be hard. You are being, you know, a PM, except you actually have to be one of the good ones and do a good job. You are being like a brand and marketing person. You're being, you know what I mean? Like you're having to do all this shit that you're probably not trained for. And that's like genuine work. I think the streaming part is the easiest part though. If you're one of those streamers that can subsist off of just that and you don't need to do the other stuff, I think it's like one of the easiest jobs ever. Straight up, one of the easiest jobs. If you do other stuff, then yeah, okay, content could be like a little more normal job-y. It's like a standard desk job in difficulty, I'd say. But yeah, if you're just streaming, that shit's easy, honestly. You know? Yeah, I think the unpredictable income and unpredictable scheduling is the hardest part of it, which is usually not that much of a factor in most other jobs. You know, you get your salary, you're paid for your time put in, not always your results. It's not always results based. And then you have your schedule. You show up and you do what you can within the day and then you're done. And with just streaming, you can kind of have that, but you're definitely at the whims of other people and how they're scheduling stuff. If you do events and you do other things, you have to do all these meetings with all these different companies. Oh, I want to work with this company. Okay, well, they're based in Japan, so you have to have a meeting at 9 p.m. Also, we're telling you about it the day before. You know, like, there aren't many other jobs, standard 9 to 5s, where you will just get told, oh, by the way, you have a 9 p.m. meeting tomorrow. Did I have that in my old job before streaming? Yes, because I worked with a lot of people from a lot of other countries. But I don't think that's standard for most people. Most people aren't the one that would handle that stuff, you know? And I find as a streamer, you get a lot of that. So it's more in line with most small business owners. Yeah. Yeah, it's very much the small business grind, which has its own set of difficulties. But again, that depends on the person. If you're just like, oh, I'm just going to stream and I'm not going to like really do too much other shit. I'm going to stream and I'm going to have one editor that edits videos and puts them on my channel for me. If that's all you got, it's like the easiest job, man. You know. Happy to see more sponsors for you these days. Yeah, I have multiple communication lines to get sponsors and stuff. And I really have a lot of them dig around and find stuff that I would like. Because I was like, hey, I'd like to do lots of them. You know, it's good money, whatever. But I don't want to do them unless I actually have interest in the thing. So I have a few different agents that send out feelers and, you know, get stuff for me. That way I have like a wide amount of options and I can pick and choose instead of just having to take like whatever's thrown at me, you know. But it's been good. It's been good. It's been nice. I also do a lot of that independently myself. Just straight up, I have contacts at different companies, like direct relationships with them, where they have my email and they can just, you know, some of them even just have me on Discord, and they'll just be like, "Hey, I got this thing for you. You want to do it?" And I go, "Okay, all right." And that's it. But it's been going well, yeah. Said if you're on a tight budget as a streamer, I imagine seeing your numbers dip would be hella stressful since there is no way to make sure you recover that. Just gotta hope more people resub. Yeah. I mean, that's the hard part, right? Like, when someone's numbers are off, it depends. I don't know. For me, if I have like a higher or lower month, typically the lower months, my sub counts don't tend to change that much. So I've never really been that concerned. Not never, but like, you know, the past long while. If I feel like fewer people are watching one month, it doesn't really affect like my sub income and stuff too much because typically the people that are subbed. I don't really have too many issues with that. So for me, I don't think numbers dipping is really like a problem. I don't perceive it as a problem, you know. Some people, it depends on what their community is like. But if some people, there is a big difference, like their CCV and their sub count are like one-to-one linked, not one-to-one in value, but one-to-one like in ratio. And that can be really stressful for those people. Yeah, absolutely. But for me, it's been not too bad. Not too bad. I definitely make less in ad revenue, but ad revenue never really made up a large portion of my income anyway. I have it set to the minimum, so it's, you know, I don't really, that's whatever. You know what I mean? That's whatever compared to the other stuff. So, you've seen people go absolute doomer when they're down 10% viewers between weeks. I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm like, I think it's one of the worst metrics to look at regularly for your mental health. Like, you should look at your sub count that lets you know how many of your regulars are still happy. Kind of. It's not a perfect metric for that, but it's better, you know? And maybe fewer of the, like, the randos that come through here and there are there, but, like, if your sub count stays the same, then you're fine. Your core people are happy. Your community is still there. You just have fewer, you know, tourists that month or whatever. That's fine. You know, like, you don't have to worry. But people kind of look out at, like, the one metric and then doom about it. And I'm like, you're fine. You know, you're okay. They really get upset. They really get upset. Do gacha sponsors pay more? Is it just the frequency? It depends on the company. Some of the companies really pay, like, shit. Some of them pay normal rates. A lot of them have a lot of money but still refuse to, like, pay more. I don't really do many gacha sponsors. I've only done ones that were events like Nikkei. My secret is that when I have a gacha sponsor asking me, we always send them a higher rate because I don't want to do it unless they're, like, paying more. If it's not a game I'm into. If I actually was into it and I actually liked the gameplay, I wouldn't do that to them. But if I'm less interested, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I give them the fuck you pricing. So, you know, trying to think of what other gacha you've done outside of Nikkei. The only other one I did, I think, was Star Rail, and that's because their gameplay was fun. Their gameplay was good. You know? And that was a long time ago. Outside of that, I don't know. I'm not completely opposed. Not completely opposed. Oh, Persona X. Yeah. I did Persona X. That has gacha elements, but it's just a Persona game with gacha slapped on top, honestly. It plays just like a normal Persona, so... That one, I didn't mind that at all. I did not give them the fuck you pricing, because I was like, hey, that's a Persona game. Yeah, gotcha-ish, right? Right. Exactly. But I don't know. That kind of stuff, it depends on if I'm actually interested in the game or not. But I don't know. Some of the way sponsors work is like really sometimes they want to work with you. Like Raw Fury and New Blood are good examples. I said, hey, we could do normal sponsorship, or I could give you more and we become best friends. And I have this indie game gauntlet idea that I want to do. You sponsor it. I get a really cool event out of it. I get a bunch of game keys for my community. You don't have to give me a shit ton more money or anything like that. It's still standard, you know, but we do a fun event together. And then in return, you know, you just promote it. Tell your devs that I'm doing it and stuff like that. There you go. And give me some game keys. And it's really fun. And we end up like building nice relationships with these publishers and stuff. That kind of stuff is my favorite thing to do. Like if someone's just like, hey, play this game for 2 hours, here's some money, I'll do that too. I mean, there's no problem with that, but I like doing, when they'll support something being a little more of an event, I like that, you know? Sometimes it's not the publisher though. Sometimes it's just a singular game and it's a little harder for them to like do that type of event with me for sure. But, or like Monster Hunter, you know, we did an entire outfit. Capcom was so down for it. They were so down for me to just be like, yeah, here's my whole set of designs. Let's make a Monster Hunter outfit. And they were like, they gave me their blessing to, they gave me art of a monster before it was shown. They gave me like NDA stuff so that we could take elements from it and make an outfit based off of it. And then I was able to get a whole, you know, thing going. So stuff like that I really like doing as well. Just, I don't know, it just feels more special. It feels like a cooler project than just play my game for 2 hours, which is also not bad, but I like doing more involved stuff if we can, you know? So much hopium. I'm really hoping for the patch because honestly, I love Wilds. I love that game. I had so much fun playing that game, but with subsequent patches, it became harder and harder to play. But the thing is, I'm hoping the game gets Iceborned, right? Where, like, they come in swinging, they optimize stuff, they come in with more content later, and it just revives. Because I have hope because they did that with World. But we'll see. We'll see. Is the full monster just a few scraps? Yeah, it's still under NDA, so I'm not gonna tell you exactly what they sent or anything. But they sent me art and stuff and things to be able to see what I needed to see to design off of it. Like Wilds, there's just nothing to do. I think they released it with so little content. I was able to get through it in like 2-3 days of mild gaming. I got through everything that was there to go through, and it was just like, okay, hunt more of the same, make your armor sets, and then you're done. Right? And I didn't really have much outside of that. And Monster Hunter is typically really good at going through and giving you like a lot of event quests and things over time, but I feel like they didn't do it fast enough for the people that were really going to eat that game up to be sated, you know? So that's why I'm saying I hope it gets Iceborned, because World was like that too. People are like, oh, World was so great. It was, but the first release before Iceborne was the same thing, where there just wasn't that much. You got through it pretty quickly, and then what is there to do? You know, like the end game grind didn't have that much. It wasn't bad. It just stopped a little quickly, right? And then they released Iceborne, and they were like, oh, now here's all the good stuff. So I hope they do that with Wilds, personally. I don't know if they will, but they absolutely did it with Rise too. It wasn't really complete feeling until Sunbreak. So I have hope. I have hope because they've done it so many times in a row. I wish they would just do it initially and wait a little more time, but I get why they do, you know? I get why they do. But I really enjoyed what they had so far. I really, really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, I have pretty good confidence that they will eventually do that, because I feel like there's no reason to doubt that they won't at this point, because they've done it so many times. It's quite literally how they've always done the games. Yeah. I've been someone who's played since the second game. Like, literally since Monster Hunter 2. And, yeah, there's a reason why every game has an ultimate version and, and stuff like that. I still, to this day, I'm like, oh, For You is the best one. For you, not for you, for ultimate, right? They've kind of always done that. So, yeah, I feel like they'll almost definitely do it with Wilds. I don't think they could sit with themselves and be happy without doing that, you know? So, yeah, For You is so good. There's part of me that wants to go back through Generations Ultimate. I kind of want to go play GU again. I want to play through Try again, actually, if I'm being honest with you. Full honesty, I want to go play Try again. I miss it. I do. We did that however long stint with the girls where we went and we played through all the Frontier. And that shit was fun as hell. That was fun because only Moriko and I had played Frontier. Because Frontier was never... It's never been very accessible. That was the MMO one. You had to, like, live in Asia or have, well, a way to say you lived in Asia, whether you did or not, to be able to play on those servers, you know? So I just sat there and played on Korean servers. And like, when we were playing and Moriko would say the name of a monster, I'd be like, what's that? And she'd be like, how do you not know this? Didn't you play this? And I'd be like, I don't know the name. I don't know the name. It wasn't named this in Korea. I don't know. And we were like, we were so confused all the time with each other. It was really funny. It was so funny. Or like sometimes the name was the same, but the way she pronounced it, I was like, what is that? And then she'd type it out and I'd be like, oh. Or like I'm so not used to calling him Zinogre. It's just Jinoga to me. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's Jinoga. I don't know, dude. But it was fun to go back through Frontier and play it in English. That was an experience. You played in the Taiwan server until it shut down? Yeah. A lot of people went through the Taiwan servers. It was one of the only ways. And yeah, VPNing back then was not the same as it is now. I love that shit. I loved that shit. Do you think they need to nerf or rework the wounds system? I really like the wounds system. It is a bit OP. I think they should show up. I think, I don't know. I haven't played in a bit, so I'd have to really think on it. I'd have to play again. I think if they showed up a little less often. I think the problem is when you're playing solo, the wound system is great. And yeah, they already nerfed it. But the problem is when you play with multiple people, the wound system was not nerfing down. They were still appearing at the same rate. So you'd have 4 people beating on a monster and just wounds, wounds, wounds over and over and over. And it just made it feel less dynamic in what you were doing, right? They'd be like, wound on the head, get the head, get the head. And then it's just kind of like, I don't know. So I think it's a good system. I think it just needs to be knocked back a little when you're playing in multiplayer. I think it's just cranked up too high. It doesn't really knock back enough. They need to nerf it hard for multiplayer. I think solo, though, it's still pretty good. I played a lot of solo for the most part. And it felt pretty balanced, especially, yeah, with like the 9-star quests and things. I think it was going pretty well. All things considered. Maybe a rage bar that buffs the monster if you do it too much. Yeah, I think it needs some sort of counterbalance or something. Maybe diminishing returns, maybe a bar that's... It could be a rage bar, or it could be like, you know, when you've done this many wounds, there's a little cooldown. Anything. Anything. You know? Wild to Mega requires wounds to prevent its apeshit rage state. Yeah, I think certain fights feel balanced and others don't. That's really all. So they need to tune not the whole system, but the fights to make sense of the system, I feel. But yeah, you can basically sit there and just constant stun them, which is a little nutty. It's a little nutty. I think instead, you know, something I will say is because I used to always play a lot of hammer. Well, I played like every weapon, but hammer and switch axe were the two that I played the most back in the day, right? Hammer, when everyone else can stun, feels less important. Feels less significant. What's the point of having a hammer player just on the head the whole time, right? Like, it still makes sense to kind of do, but now your KO isn't that special because of all the stunning and knockback stuff that you can do with wounds. So I think, like, the wound system is cool and good, but it definitely devalues the hammer as a weapon. You know? So that's the one thing where I'm like, the role positions feel less important. Yeah. I like more, personally, I like a lot more differentiation between the different roles and, you know, hey, you're playing this weapon? Okay, you should probably stay on legs for the most part. Oh, you're playing that weapon? You should focus head, right? I think there's a lot of a nice dynamic feeling to multiplayer when you have these differing weapons doing different things. But with wounds, I mean, it's like, there's a wound on the left leg. Everyone ape the left leg, you know, and everybody just piles onto it. And it's kind of fun the first few times, but after a while, you're like, oh, this just makes it all the same, you know? So, I think it'd be nice if they do more in the future to differentiate what the different roles are. You like the Omega fight because it's more like an MMO raid? Yeah, yeah. I would like, I want more massive monsters again. I want more massive monsters. I don't know if you watched us fight Dalmadur. Dalmadur is like just one of my most favorite fights, dude. Giant snake that has like a dragon front, the dragon head, dragon arms, coils around a mountain, and you can hit different parts of it. Its tail is hit separately from its head and its body. Yeah, urgent snack. Really, really cool fight, and I kind of miss like huge fights. They do have Gogmazios and stuff, but You don't like the big ones? Smacking toes is boring. Well, that's what was fun about Dalamador, though, because you fought him in this arena where you're at the top of a mountain and there are a few chunks of mountain, and he wraps around those chunks, and then there are different parts of him that you can run to and hit, so you could fight his tail and stuff. You know what I mean? So that fight was cool, but yeah, I don't want to just smack toes all the time. I agree. I think Zora Magdaros was a terrible fight, but it was really cool in concept. Like, the Zora fight was actually insanely cool, and then it was just executed like shit. But I remember when I first saw it, I was like, oh my god, is this the large dragon fight of my dreams? And then it was not the large fight of my dreams, man. It was not. It was cool, but it was such an ass fight. So shit. I don't know. Latest Omega fight did have a whole strategy to it. It did. You like the Cantor and Ucanlo size monsters? Yeah. I think everyone should go through 4U and Generations Ultimate and play and see some of the monsters from back then and understand. You remember Big Ice Shark? Holy, there's some really, really cool fights. I want more bugs, too. We need more bugs back. So many bugs. I loved Frontier because a lot of the really, really, really unique fights. The giant scorpion that would laser beam you, laser you with lasers from its tail, and it was like a crystallized scorpion. A lot of fights in Frontier were cool as hell. What was his name again? What was he in English? Is it with a Z or a J? No, it's Vashimu. It's Vashimu. I can never remember anything's name in English, man. Vashimu was cool as hell. They were cool, man. Went through Frontier was so fun. Yeah, I'm glad, like, after we played it, we had more people trying it out, which was nice. I don't know. I can't remember any of their names. In the Korean version, he was just Bashim. Which I guess is like Vashimu, I guess, but Bashim... I don't know. I can never tell what it's going to be in English. Celtis Queen. Celtis Queen was good. I like Celtis Queen a lot. We can do more. We can do more. More. I think, I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, what would be best to bring back? I miss a lot of the water fights. I think water combat could be brought back and done well. It is absolutely possible. Not that they need to. It's absolutely possible. But if they don't bring back water combat, I would really like to see some sort of, like, imagining of those fights. I miss Lagia Cruz, right? Things like that. They've always had ways for you to fight some of the water ones that come out of the water. But, I don't know. There's some that are going to be stuck in the water forever, you know? Thought the meme was that water combat was terrible. Okay, it wasn't that good, but I'm going to be honest, I didn't have that much trouble with it. I think people just were complaining. I think they were just fucking complaining. They weren't wrong that it wasn't good, but they were acting like they were being stabbed in the face when playing it, and I was like, it's not that bad, all right? I didn't love it. I liked the concept, but I think it could be redone well, is what I'm saying. And I don't mean redo it like give it the same exact controls. I mean redo it like completely scratch and redo it. But it could be brought back, in my opinion, in like a modern game with the modern controls that we have. Absolutely. Or like I was saying, reimagine it. Like have more of these fights where you're on a boat. Remember some fights in older games you'd be on like a sand boat in the desert just going and going and going, and there's something next to you in the sand that is swimming in the sand and coming up to you, and you can get onto it and fight it. I feel like they could reimagine a lot of the water fights like that. So you're still fighting on quote-unquote land. Yeah, Jen Moran was really fun. I think they could do stuff like that with some of the old water sections of things. Yeah, right, or harpoon them back out of the water, or that kind of stuff. Fishing a Plesioth out of the water, classic. It's all possible, you know? So, I wish they would bring these things back just in, like, that kind of way. They don't have to bring water combat back. They don't have to. But, you know. There's Namiel bringing the water with them. Yeah, I did kind of like that they had a lot of, like, aquatic-looking things in Wilds. I really liked, you know, like, fire, lava, octopus was just a cool concept. I liked a lot of the monsters that they had. And a lot of them being less like, ooh, I'm another fucking dinosaur, I'm another fucking dragon. Instead being like, oh, I'm a weird abyssal whatever. It was cool. But, none of them got in the water, really. One of them kind of did. And swam around, kind of, but, you know, you didn't really do much with it while it was in the water. So, I don't know. Have someone wrestling the boat control so you don't get dragged under. Oh, I think it'd be so cool, yeah, if you occasionally had to run to a spot and, like, right the ship a little bit and then go back and fight. It'd be cool. Like shitty FNAF, you know? Where you have to keep checking on this one button to make sure it doesn't die or whatever. It'd be fun, man. And pretty cool. Like what they did with Luggy. Yeah, it's cool. They could do more, but I like it. Well, they did not introduce any lesser Elder Dragons prior to Gogmazios? Yeah. I want G rank to be hard. That's all I care about. I want G rank to kick my ass. That's what I want. I want G rank to kick my fucking ass. The Nysars kick ass so fast. I haven't gotten to play much of it because that shit won't run for me. It won't run on my PC. I like just straight up haven't been able to play Wilds. I was able to play a little bit of stuff, but it just was like hard because don't forget I'm on a 3080. I'm on a 3080. Am I getting a new PC? Yes. Do I have it right now? No. You know, so do most games still run very well on my PC? Yes. Absolutely. Does that one? No. So we'll see if this update allows me to run it or if it's more so made for a juiced later PC that I get, but yeah. I will have a new PC thanks to Power GPU. I will. You know, the 3080 still works really well for most games. It does. And it's reliable. It doesn't have like weird issues. It doesn't have any weird problems, which is why I've used it so long. So, I really like mine. Genuinely, like, the only time this PC struggles is when I'm playing certain games with my model also running. But when stream is off, I don't have OBS open, and I close VTube Studio, and I'm just playing those same games on my PC, they look good. Or a lot of the time, everything in the game that I'm playing looks great on my middle monitor. It's just my model that will chug, you know? So, that's just how it is. Medea, thank you for the raid. You're supposed to be missing new PC for like a year and a half. Yeah, and you know, I don't want to complain too much, but it's because other people are fucking flaky as hell. Okay, I'm gonna be so real. Very happy with Power GPU because, you know, I was supposed to get a new PC. I was promised a new PC by so many people that were so ready to do these sponsors. And then they just dragged their feet. And I was like, well, are we gonna do this or not? And they would just take forever. And it wasn't even like these other companies didn't intend to sign me, but they didn't treat me as like in any way important, you know? And I was like, do you even want to do this? Like, do you even care? Do you fucking care? You know? And I don't need to be like handed flowers and chocolates when I join a company or something as a sponsor, but like, Let's at least answer DMs and emails in a timely fashion. Simple things. Hey, can I see the contract? Okay, yeah, we'll send it to you. They would sit there and have like all the precursor talks to a sponsorship and promise lots of things, but then like when it came to sending me the paper and like really doing the work part of it, it would be obvious to me that like the rep really liked me. The rep that was talking to me really liked me, but the rest of the company wouldn't actually like care much, you know? And I didn't want to work with sponsors where like only the representative from the company cares about that relationship, but everyone else doesn't give a fuck. Because reps leave companies all the time, right? That's just their job for a bit. They might go to another company. So that can't be the only thing, right? With Power GPU, I know like all of them, you know, and a lot of them are very nice and actually want to work with me. So it's not just like one person, you know? But yeah, so that's why I would listen, but I wouldn't lock anything in unless the relationship felt like it was right, you know? I don't like signing to a company to like work with them on a long-term sponsor unless I actually feel like they give a fuck, you know? So, yeah. Yeah. So does your work tool, I wouldn't use sponsors. What? What? What do you think? They're gonna like lace my sponsored PC with Trojan horses and steal my identity? What's wrong with using a sponsored PC? They're gonna put anthrax in it. No, we're talking a lot about what's going to be put in it and how it's going to be built, etc. And they are going to put Fent in the GPU. No, I get to choose what's in there. They're not just telling me. They're like, here's what we recommend. And then I go, okay, now do this, you know? Yeah, right. And that's the other thing, right? They're not going to give me something where they're cheaping out on it or they're not doing a good job. Because then what happens if shit goes wrong? Then I'm going to tell you guys. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not going to be a bad one, for sure. Mineral oil fish tank PC. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be great. They even did stuff. They were like, we can print like any image, anything you want on like your GPU. We have like a plate that covers this area, and we can put an image on it. And I was like, hey, that's fancy, but I don't look at my PC. All the RGB lights on the inside, I turn them off. I turn that shit off, dude. I set it to a slightly yellowish, like a warm white light, and I turn it way down. So it's just a mild glow. It's like the color of Christmas lights, you know, but darker. Just so it has the tiniest bit of glow. So if something does go wrong and I need to look at it, I can see. But I turn most of the lights off. And I don't do funny colors. And that's it. And it keeps the vibe of the room like nice, dimly warm lit, you know. It's nice. Yeah, no, I don't like wasting electricity. I know things are different nowadays, but I was always told in the home, oh, turn that whatever off. Turn that light off when you leave that room. You're wasting electricity. Ooh, etc., etc. Yeah, so I like, it's ingrained. Even if it doesn't make a lot of difference, I can't do it. If I see an excuse to turn a light off, I will turn it off. You like the colors that make you feel whimsical? I don't like the bisexual lighting gamer room thing. Half the room is pink, other half of the room is blue, purple in the middle. So many people do that and they're like, oh, it's my gamer den. It's filled with bisexual lighting. And I think it like looks cool in pictures, but if I sit in a room like that, I become a boomer and I'm like, this place hurts to be in. You know, all the blue light, just ugh. Ugh. I don't like it. Modern LED lighting uses a lot less electricity. I know, that's why I'm saying, like, nowadays it doesn't matter. I know it doesn't matter, but I still, like, even if it's marginal, I still do it. But yeah, I can't with all the lights, man. I like a lot of light sources, but Yeah, it's nicely warm. You know, I like that. I don't do this in this room. I miss back in the day. There's still a lot of this on the East Coast and like in New York. But back in the day, all of the streetlights used to be just straight up orange. Straight up orange. And it made everything look like cool at night, like really cool. I loved that shit. Now more of them are those white LEDs and I hate them. Visually, I hate them. Yeah, the sodium lights. I love it. I love it. Ooh, first time chatter. What do you think about the Iron Mouse incident? I don't know. What do you think? Tell me first. Yeah, I like the sodium lights though. We're getting those purple lights now. Fuck that, dude. No cool tone lighting on my streets, man. I'm one of those people who absolutely turns blue light off. You know, I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't know. I need this place to be like, you know, for lack of a better term, kind of piss yellow a little bit. Not quite that yellow in the lighting. Some people really go like full yellow, and I think it's too much. But I want them to be a little like warm tone. Lights are becoming blue where you live. I don't get it. What is it? He said, I heard the purple lights are to discourage animals from the highways. Oh. Okay, you know what? If it has a biological, environmental more so impact like that, then I get it. Then I get it. But is that true? Is that real? I don't know. I thought it was just stuff aging. They're purple on the main streets? Oh. Yeah, is it an LED defect? I don't know. Google it again. Check. I don't know, man. Don't they use red lights to reduce light pollution? I've seen that at the beach. Yeah, I thought the more yellowish ones are better, quote unquote. I don't know though. I mean, something that might be better in one way could be worse for something else, right? So I'm not sure. But I don't like those sanitized, like, white LEDs. I don't like that stuff. It's too much for me, man. It legitimately, like, hurts my damn eyes. Yeah, disgusting. Heard white on rose helps reduce drowsiness. I mean, the fact that blue light keeps you up a little bit, it's true, but like, I don't know, man. It hurts my head. I legitimately, if I'm driving at night and it's like a lot of really bright white or bluish lights, sometimes I get a little bit of a headache. I don't like it. So I much rather the softer lights. And if you're getting tired, reevaluate. You know, I get it if you're a trucker and it's your job, but what are you doing? Why are you driving when you're so tired? Why are you driving at that time? Is this something you have to do, or are you doing this because you make poor decisions? Is there a different way to go about this whole situation? I don't know. It's like both very cool and very warm lights. Yeah, I like it, you know, like I said, Christmas light, soft white, where it's like a little yellowish is nice. Maybe a little more yellowish than that can be nice. If I look right now, I've got a garland in here. It's Christmas time, so I've got a garland in here that's got like some warm white lights. It's nice. It's like a little glow. It's pretty dim. It's good. I don't know. It's good. Your eyes have to recover so long after passing cars with those frick-ass blue lights. Dude, I hate that headlights have gotten so... Okay, back in my day, the headlights used to be very yellow and pretty dim. And people have been wanting them to be brighter and brighter and brighter so they can see more and more. And what is someone's normal car headlights now used to be someone's brights back then. It's insane. It's insane. And every time I'm driving and someone's behind me and they turn on those lights, I'm like, the red mists of rage boil within me, you know? I start being like, I hope you crash. I start thinking dark thoughts. Do I let it out? No. But I'm like, I hope that fucking gets him one day, which is a dark thought that I think is not good to have about people. But I do because that shit pisses me off, okay? I'll admit it. It's real. Hate it. Cannot stand it, dude. You have floodlights to counter those. You shouldn't have to counter them. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have to be like, force field and press a button to counter just normal ass headlights. You know? It's crazy. You have an astigmatism? Oh, yeah, I've heard it's really hard if you have one. Or two. I've heard it's really difficult. Use the filters on your computer? 100% yes. You should see. I have something for Excel and for any, like, Google Sheets, Google Docs, etc. I have something that takes anything that's going to be white like that. I use Dark Reader for in-browser stuff, but I use something separate for Excel. It basically takes it and turns, instead of turning it negative so that the background is now black and the text is white, that's honestly hard for eye strain. I have it all go caca brown, okay? We go to a medium dark brown for the background, and we have like a light brown, slightly yellowish color for all the lines of the cells and the text color. It is so, it's the ultimate filtering, kind of like a sepia filter, kind of. It is so easy on the eyes, though, because I worked in spreadsheets for so long and in documents for so long, making documentation, doing all these things, and it was just like I had to, or my eyes would die. Yeah, for Notepad++, right, stuff like that. Like everything was just brown, because if you're working on the computer all day and you're writing lines and you're in, you know, text all the time, you just have to do it, man. Yeah, my shit looked like papyrus. It did, but you know, it was so much better for me. I noticed, not at first, but after a couple weeks of having things like that, I noticed such a difference on eye strain. I've never gone back. I've never gone back. And it's simple. There are different programs you can set up. Certain things, like Notepad does have like filtering on its own that you can set up. Sometimes there are plugins for certain programs, but there's a lot of stuff you can put on. Lets you turn it on and off if you need to show it to somebody. So you can go back to like normal mode, but it's so nice. Yeah, I read on a Kindle as well. I try to not read. If I find something interesting that I want to read, I send the link to myself and I try to open it on my Kindle if I'm going to go read it later. Because the e-ink and not being backlit, whatever. I do have one that does have optional backlighting, but still, it's so much easier on you. It's so good. Flux, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Do you remember? Do you remember back in the League days when all of the pro players wore gunners? Do you remember that? People would be gaming and they'd be like, I got my gunners on. And they work. They work. Remember that shit? Dude, fucking gaming glasses. Gaming glasses. They gave you more ELO. They did. Oh my god, the pictures of people with them on look crazy. I never had them. I never had them. I never considered getting them because every time I looked at them, I was like, you just become Dyrus, you know? Game a moment. But I actually think it's a very good idea. You just love your pink gunners? Oh my god. Oh my god. That's crazy. ELO boost. Your left eye has been twitching recently. You've been told straight from looking at the computer. Dude, adopt the 20-20-20 rule. Set a timer. Every 20 minutes, set a new 20-minute timer. Okay? 20 minutes passes. Look at something at least 20 feet away for 20 seconds. That shit, I don't do it enough when I stream, but I do have like stuff across the room and I'll go stare at it occasionally. Man, do that when you're working, it is so much better. Just letting yourself like unfocus at something in front of you. Your room's too small. Yeah, I've got a window. Well, I've got a couple windows that I can look out. And that is the way. That is just the way. Every 20 seconds, I look at something 20 feet away for 20 minutes. ADHD is rough. I can't help it. Every 20 minutes, I open 20 tabs and spend 20 hours in them before I remember my original task. Really saves my eyes. Really saves my eyes. And if you can't look at something 20 feet away, look at the farthest thing you can. Go stand at the window and stare out the window. Do the 1,000-yard stare, you know? If you know how to unfocus your eyes, that actually helps too. If you know how to, like, properly unfocus them so that they're positioned as if they're looking at something far away. It's not perfect, but it's something. It's something. Do it. Save your eyes. Please do. Your neighbor's staring back. Well, that's the problem is if I look out, like, there are people. So I just look at an inanimate object, you know? I look at, like, that one chunk of sidewalk, some random car, people walking on the street that can absolutely look up and see me looking at them. Yeah, it's a little awkward. I could look into my neighbor's windows. So many windows I could stare into. Building across from you has a cute cat hanging out on the windowsill. Ooh, yeah. You got caught people watching? People don't really look into people's windows here. Everyone kind of minds their own business pretty well. But sometimes they glance, you know? But they don't stare. No one-way windows. Yeah, I do have like a tint kind of thing put on the window, so you can only see my outline for the most part. So I think they can see if I'm standing right at the window and looking out, they can maybe see me, but if I'm standing back from it a little bit, they really can't see me. So I can see, like, if my cats are in the windows, because I can see a little bit of an outline when they're right next to it, but if they're back from it a little bit, you really can't. You really can't. But get those, the window tints that are specifically for, it's like a polarizing thing. It's very hard for people on the outside to see in when you do that. So if you live in a city, they're goated. Absolutely goated. Hope my neighbors didn't peek in my windows will see me watching anime. Oh yeah, no. I don't have things positioned in a way where anyone could ever see what's on my computer screens or anything like that. Because you just know. You just know that someone would look in and they'd be able to see the outlines of a Twitch chat and like OBS and stuff. Like you would be able to tell from afar that person's streaming, you know? No way, man. But I got the shit on my windows, the films, so you can't see. So it's whatever, you know, they're not gonna know. They're not gonna know. You only look if there's a cat or holiday decorations? Yeah. I went crazy with it this year. My windows look insane. Because it's really like all I can decorate that anyone could see is just like the edges of my windows, so that's what I did. Those milk glass looking films. Mine are the ones that make from the outside when you look at it, it kind of just looks like a mirror. It just looks like glass with nothing behind it. And if there is something behind it, is right up against the glass, you can see the outline of it and maybe a bit more detail. But when you're standing back, it just, yeah, glass. It just looks like a mirror. Which is great for privacy. Really good. And it's kind of like a one-way mirror, because then when I look out, they can't see much detail. But I can see them, you know? I can see them. You know, window films were a thing. Are they pain to remove? Depends on which ones. Some of them are very render friendly, though. I think it's a good idea. Because it's nice to leave your windows open and let light stream in and all of that. Like, it's good. But when you live in a city or, you know, really dense area, you don't want people just walking past and, like, just looking up and being like, oh, what's going on in there? Oh, what's that on your computer screen, you know? And obviously it's different when you don't live too far from, or you do rather live farther from the ground. If you live higher up, it's really not that hard. But if you're in one of those buildings that only goes like 5 stories up and you're on the 3rd floor, you know, people can just look straight in your window. Easy. So, unless someone uses the reflection as a literal mirror. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to be like low down. You'd have to be like 1st floor for that to happen, though. I would never want like a unit that's 1st floor. Oh my God. All the street noise coming in, all the people walking past and they're just so close. You open your door and you're just opening your door to the outside. Ugh. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm good. Oh, bless you, Wolfie. I'm sneezing. I live on the 1st floor to keep my blinds open at all times, let them watch. I know there was some guy who did like a performance art thing a while back where he got an apartment. I don't know if it was New York City or somewhere else, but he got an apartment that was 1st floor like that. Like basically where the stores would usually be, but it was residential. And he had no filters, nothing. He put no curtains. And he just slept in a studio apartment where people could see in the whole time. The only place that was safe was the bathroom. And that's where he would like change and you know, obviously he didn't have his nuts hanging out and stuff, but he like lived his entire life being visible so people could walk through. And there was like a disclaimer on the window somewhere that was like, you know, this is performance art or whatever. And I was like, you know, that's cool, but ew. Ew, I wouldn't want to do that. It's art. No thanks. No thanks. No nuts. Yeah, what a coward, right? What a coward. I don't know. No, thank you. Too many issues on your bottom floor apartment are bugs, or if someone upstairs clogs the sewage line, it'll back up into our tub. Oh. Ugh. Yeah, no, thank you. Best thing you can do is try to be on a higher floor if you can. No, thanks. When you moved here, the neighbors across the street would keep looking and you got them to stop by staring them down, arms crossed. You ever be that meme of the guy with his hands on his hips and he looks like really disappointed at the camera? Like the dad in the vest and the plaid shirt or whatever the fuck. You gotta be that meme and just stare at him. No, I've always done the window film thing. You know, good curtains are good. You can get like sheer white curtains so they can't see in, but you let light stream in. But I've always done the window film that makes it look like a mirror. That shit is amazing. Amazing. A lot of the time it is renter friendly. You can peel it off, you know. That's the way. Anyway, speaking of the way is us playing Skate Story. I want to play Skate Story and I want to see if we can get through more or all of it today. If we have more time, maybe we'll, you know, keep our dome a little bit or something. I don't know. We'll play something from yesterday. I kind of want to continue that mystery game too this week. But I want to get to Skate Story. Before I do that, though, I need to refill my water. So, we're going to do that. I will be right back. Okay? I'm going to go refill my water. I'm going to hop back in. Are you still playing Vintage Story? I'm going to hop back into Vintage Story. I needed a break because I had a lot of, like, sponsors and things where I just had to do that, and new games coming out that I want to play. And I wanted to. It's ultimately really fun in RP to like leave for a bit and then come back and just see what happens. So at some point I will. Don't tell me anything that's been going on the server though. I wanna just hop in and find out at some point. But we will. All right. I'll be back.
Glorp. Let me try glorp. 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 Glorp.
White Bipom Masturbation 7776942 Gangship Nomori Fortnite $19 Fortnite card.
You know, I didn't get to hear whatever that last one was. All I know is I see you guys being like, oh God. How bad was it? It's still going. It was like at the tail end by the time I put my don't forget I'm ahead of you. By the time I put my shit on. It was full of whimsy. Oh, I'm sure it was great. Yeah, no, I can't. I'll have to do it for myself later. It's not, it looks like it sounds terrible looking at the command you used. I can already tell that shit was terrible. uh. One of you says, I always find myself wishing that you uploaded your VODs to a third-party site that would allow you to leave the background music in. Doesn't exist. It's such a big part of enjoying stream. I agree. I really, really wish I could be a radio DJ and run a radio station where I talk sometimes and then be like, anyway, now that we're done talking, here's music that I curated, and then boom. And then we just play music and that's it. I would love to do that. I would love to do that, but you can't. Unless you're on radio. You can't, like most sites don't let you do it. The thing is, like, you just can't do that on Twitch unless you don't keep the VODs. Or, yeah, or you can do DJ stuff and then you like turn all revenue off. It doesn't make money. The thing is, like you can do it for the love of the game, but if you took away normal stream time to do that instead, you just lose income, you know? So it's like, you know, you can't turn your streams into that. You could have a separate channel where you do radio, but you know, now you're just doubling up and you're just spending more time. Yeah, what it would, right, I'd make a third channel. That'd be crazy. So it's a cool idea, but I wouldn't do it unless I was literally on radio or somewhere where I'd like get properly paid for it, you know? Or I would do it if like, yeah, if I was like retiring. I was like, I'm not gonna stream anymore. Maybe every now and then I'd be like, here's music, yay. Talk about a topic for 15 minutes, then boom, music for 45, right? Yeah, they're set listed to be pre-approved during prime time. I've had a friend who's done it before, yeah. Or more like a family friend. It's just like, yeah, it's just not possible. It's just not possible. I love music though, and one of the things I wanted to do, I've talked about it before, is I wanted to like sit there and watch and review like new music videos especially, and make that a segment. The thing is, I could not put that on any of my standard YouTube channels because that kind of stuff gets demonetized all the time, and sometimes it gets like the whole channel afflicted, not just the video, you know? So I could make a separate channel for it, or like repurpose, since I don't want to use highlights anymore and just put everything on main, I could repurpose that. But it would have to be in its own sequestered spot, you know? So I want to do that because I love music, but like, it's not really a big, huge topic on stream because a lot of that content of showing and listening to music and stuff, I just like haven't had a place to put where it wouldn't get killed. It wouldn't get killed. But a lot of what I spend time on outside of stream is listening to new music and like just being a fan of groups and stuff like that, you know, like all sorts of music related things, watching performances, that kind of stuff. But I don't represent any of my interest in that really on stream much, or like anywhere, because I can't. You know, there are ways. Maybe a Discord thread. Yeah, I'm talking about content though. I'm talking about content. So I don't know, man. I would love to, but it's very hard on the internet. So I could do it if I had a separate channel for it. But outside of that, in like all my existing areas, it's not possible without killing those channels. Literally could get my YouTube channels taken away from me or demonetized like forever. Or if not demonetized forever, it's just a thing that I'd have to sit there and constantly be appealing. Do channels that exclusively do those music reactions just eat the copyright strikes? Yeah, some of them just eat them. So there's copyright strikes and then there's demonetization. They just don't make money on a lot of their videos. And they let their videos get demonetized, or they edit them and react to them in a way where they can argue, and they what they do is they have to use the appeal system like every damn video. But like there's a lot of like K-pop music react or like rap music react channels, right? Rock as well has a lot of them where they'll watch music videos and they'll be like, oh, this new group has this new video, let's watch it, and they sit there and react. What they have to do is they have to either pause the video and talk a lot, right? And like stop the video to talk, and they have to do it on purpose so that like the appeal system lets them go through, or they keep changing up the audio. They have to keep making sure that their voice is much louder when they're talking over the video. If your reaction is just you smiling, being like, oh wow, and not really saying much, you will always get that video demonetized. And even when you appeal it, it won't, you know, They probably won't let you remonetize it. So it's tough. So I've thought about like making a separate channel for that, but I'd have to like pay somebody to sit there and like babysit the appeals, you know? I'd have to do that. So I really want to do it because like that's a huge part of what I'm interested in, but you know, it would be interesting. So I'm still down for it. I just like recognize the issue, which is why I haven't done it yet. Also, Brandon, thank you for that 6 months at a time. Thank you. Shouting, oh shit, damn, wow, through the entire song. Yeah. Yeah, or I have a friend who, the way they do it is they watch a video while reacting live to it, but they don't pause it the first time. And then they sit there and give their thoughts. They talk for like several minutes about what they think about it. And then they watch it again and they pause and they give thoughts on like individual scenes. They like go back and they're like, look at this frame. You know, this is really cool what they did here. And that video ends up being like for a 3, 4, 5 minute music video. Now you've got like this 30-minute whole thing. And that is really easy for them to appeal and be like, hey, this is not just me uploading their content. This is me giving a whole thing because, you know, 2/3 of the video are not me just watching it straight through. And by them doing that, they're able to like, you know, get a whole thing out of it. So, and be able to appeal it really, especially. So I've thought about it. I don't know. I like that kind of shit a lot. I might do it. I might do it. Because I already spend a lot of time just like watching this stuff and being interested in it, you know? It would be nice. I don't know how much you guys are interested in that stuff, though. Also, as a side note, a lot of people have been posting their announcements for coming to my Hall Map booth on Twitter. I'm letting them know if they don't post it, I'm going to post it. I'm just, that's why I'm like DMing people on the side here and there. But I think once more of them have posted, I will tell you guys as well. I'll show you everyone that's coming. Just noting to keep looking at that. Live streams of content dedicated to really getting into what is you like about music. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm saying like I want to do that very badly, but I just haven't because I would have to make content where you can hear the music, where you can see the music video. And then I can't repost that to YouTube. And if it's on Twitch, it gets that chunk of the VOD, you know, muted. But if I'm showing a music video and they mute the audio, but if they have a problem with the video still being there, they might just straight up unpublish my entire VOD, you know? So if I do it, I'd want to do it for YouTube rather than Twitch. And then take it and just do it in a way where I can have someone camp the appeals and it's like a proper reaction, not just me watching it, you know, and all that. So, yeah. It's doable. It's doable, but it's just annoying. You get into a rabbit hole of React to X videos and start binge watching more of them, and honestly, you learn and get exposed to a lot of shows and music, etc. Otherwise, you wouldn't have. It's huge for people curating content for you, new music and like artists to look at and all that. So you don't have to spend time finding people. You can like look at what other people have curated already. It's huge. That's kind of why I want to do it, because I spend time doing that. You know, I do that first part for you already, and I just sometimes play it on stream. So I think it'd be nice.